Hello. Hi. Can you guys hear me now? Wait, you guys can't hear anything at all? Hello, hello. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hi. Oh my God, it's been a while since we've done one of these lives. I always do the other way. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know because I got a new mic and I didn't have it hooked up right. And so now I do. So we're good. We're good now. It's been a while since I've done one of these lives. Wow, I feel kind of weird long form. Um, but I kind of like it. I kind of missed it. Hello, babelets. Hello. Oh, my glasses are dirty, I think. Sorry I was late. Sounds further away. Really? But you guys can hear me or no? Hold on. I want to make sure you guys can hear me good. Yeah, sounds crisp. Very good. Okay, cool. Maybe like refresh. Okay, cool. Hi. Hi. Okay, we are back. Sorry I'm late. I had mic issues. I was late. My coffee was late. Camera issues. You know how it is. Okay, let me see. Sing just to be sure. No, I'm not gonna sing. Hello. Welcome in, everyone. I am not gonna sing. You guys would all unsubscribe. Hello, welcome. I'm Melly. Welcome to my channel. We are back to Mackenzie Shirilla text. I've been doing a lot of Mackenzie. I get comments like, "Why are you only covering Mackenzie?" And then other people are like, "We love the Mackenzie," and I love both. So this weekend we're gonna get caught up on the David case, Brian Koberger, and a few others. So definitely make sure you have your notifications on. I saw little Nancy give a super chat. I've been watching everything on this case today. It's so crazy what she did. I can't imagine the fear those poor boys felt. I know. I know. It's crazy. It's a wild case. Let me say hi to everyone really quick. I saw Ausane pop in here. Carrie, Kara, hello, babelets. Ooh, I might have to turn on the AC. Bonker Bananas, Chucks, C Tippy. I saw Widow, Mallory. Everyone's here. Okay. No one gets detention. Carrie, Michelle. Who's been cheating? Dana, Cree. I see all of you. Tay, Kelly. Did I say Kelly? Hi. Jane, Inner Beauty. Hey, Jamie. Good to see you. Kay, Kim S. Shout out to all the members who stay supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, love Mackenzie. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah. Okay. I like to get your guys' opinions. We're probably gonna switch up. Did I show you guys my coffee? You already know that's why I'm late. Not don't mind my expensive, nice lipstick, but heck yeah. You already know. You already know. Jonetta, hello. Thank you for being a member. Hello. Carrie says, I've been faithful. Don't make me spam. I see and hear everything. Do what you gotta do. Get that. Hey, Joe Schmo. Yes, I make all of it, Cal. I have, well, except like the milk. I use oat milk, espresso, creamer, lechera, sometimes whipped cream, sometimes cold foam, but usually I always make the cold foam. I know. Yeah, I've been looking into a few cases you guys told me. I just have to find the time. Like I've been making lives as I go. So just with Mackenzie, I get a little behind because we are doing Mackenzie lives as well, but I don't mind at all. So we'll just get through it. I do plan to be live tomorrow as well. I usually go live a little earlier in the day, but I might be live later in the evening tomorrow. And then I plan to be live on Sunday. So I'm kind of switching off days because I have something to do tomorrow. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, I agree, Olivia. Okay, so we left off on July of the text messages. So let me pull them up. I was thinking we can try. Where did my background go? Can you guys see my background or no? Oh, I don't know what StreamYard's been doing lately. That explains how you can read for 3 hours. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Thank you for being here too, by the way, you guys, who support my channel. Really, thank you. I appreciate it. I know there's other places that are reading these text messages. Let me know if the sound or visuals are any issues because new equipment. Okay, let's see. Let's get started. So, how are you guys liking this? Like, do you guys like this, how we're on this long form better or what? Let me know. Melly was first. Period. Like I don't know if I was actually first like on the whole entire planet of YouTube, but I feel like at least with the channels that I'm familiar with, yes. But it's all good. It's all good. Um, I just stay supporting no matter what. Better? Okay. Yes, we are still in 2021. We're halfway there, you guys. We're almost there. I feel like once we get to 2022, we might have to binge a lot of it because, like, do probably more marathons because we're just going to want to get right through it, right? Who? I do? Long form. Yeah, this is still 2021. Hey, Anton. Okay, happy Friday, Mallory. Okay, let's see. He says on 7-1. So we left off on um you guys will probably remember better than me. We dead sat there for like 30 minutes and no one gave us a drink. So now we're here. I don't remember. I should probably write this down. Oh, they're at Denny's. Okay. They're at Denny's. It's let's see. The last one, yeah, from June says I'm home, babe, at 11:54 p.m. And then it goes into July 1st. Okay, Dom says, okay, I'll come home soon, babe. Okay, so it jumped to the next day. At 3:58 p.m. She says, bring the pen. He says, okay. She says, babe, come. He says, I am. She says, when? Babe, what time does Jared's graduation party start? She says, wait, never mind. Are you coming to visit? I'm guessing that's a no. Oh, wait. It jumped to the next day. I hate when I don't catch that. Sorry, guys. Okay. It was like one message for that July 1st. She says, when? And then it jumps to the second at 2:01 p.m. Babe, what time does Jared's graduation party start? She says, wait, never mind. Are you coming to visit? I'm guessing that's a no. He says, maybe. Let me see what all I gotta do. She says, are we going to that party? Dom says, do you want to? I don't really care if we go or not. Kenzie says, I always I'm always down to wear a cute little outfit. Dom says, it'll probably get popped. He said so we couldn't really get turned. Mackenzie says, oh. Dom says, but we can go kick it with B. Kenzie says, yes, I'm down. Dom says, I bet. He said he doesn't even know if he's sliding. Kenzie says, oh. Dom says, it's because ride. I would say let's drive him, but I'm gonna see if he get a ride first. Cause in I don't want to drink in, there's a typo, late. Mackenzie says, we can drive home if you really want to. They will not pull over me and my little black Camry. Dom says, LMAO, my mom made corn if you want to come eat. She says, what kind? I feel like shit still. Dom says, on the cob. She says, I know. He says, LOL. Want me to bring you one? She says, yes. He says, two. She says, is it on the grill or boiled? He said, grilled. She said, I don't know if I like grill. Or only bring one. He says, with the green shit on it though, so we can just cut it off. It's just as good, babe. Trust me. She says, I want you to come over so I can show you machine order. He says, I like it better. He says, bet I'll come in a sec. I'm gonna bring you two. She says, one. Where you at? Wait, I don't know what machine order is. She says, where you at 11:35? He says, coming in a sec. I only got two cells, so I might not be. Oh, wait. He says, coming back in a sec. Then the next morning at 11:16, he says, I only got two cells, so I might not be in that much of a rush. She says, I'm out. Babe, they don't have the slides that they had before. Go on the machine, a website, and pick one out. He says, I know, you told me, babe. I'll pick them when I see you. She says, snap. Okay, cool. He says, what? If it's gonna be if it's not gonna be fun, then why are you going? She said, okay, then I'll go ride four-wheelers with Lincoln. Dom says, okay. Thanks for making a fight over an outfit. Okay, so they must have talked on the phone and fought over an outfit. He says, thanks for making a fight over an outfit. She said, thank you for telling me I can't wear an outfit. They're not helping me pick another one. Oh, then not helping me pick another one. Dom says, then wear that outfit. It's that simple. She says, OMG, that is not helpful at all. He says, I told you I'm waiting for him to respond. You have time. I don't know why you're stressing. If anything, I don't have time. I'm supposed to be running places. Kenzie says, so I'm just going to waste this outfit. Dom says, you can wear it. We might just be the only people wearing red, white, and blue. Kenzie says, damn, you need to figure out what week we're going on vacation, like right now. Because once they put it in the system, I can't change it. Dom says, I just called my mom. She didn't answer. Kenzie says, okay, you can text her too. He sends a screenshot of the text. I did, Miss Sassy. He says, Kenzie says, okay, Mr. Sassy. He said, Dr. Sass, actually. I have my PhD. Kenzie says, do I have to spam Jared or something? Dom says, it's not fourth themed. Kenzie said, Jared answered me. He said he didn't say anything, but I can wear it. I'm going to. Dom says, okay. Kenzie says, you can just wear blue if you want or red. What are you wearing? Honestly, just send me what you're wearing because I can make an outfit out of what you're wearing. Dom sends a screenshot. He says, stress me out enough that I'm now not going to get shit done. He sends another screenshot. I can't see what it is. She says, it's not too late. You just need to tell me the time. I just need to put it in before the schedule is up. So I'm confused. How are we going or no? Dom sends another screenshot. He says, I don't know at this point. Probably not. My mom is waiting on Angelo to pick somewhere. Kenzie says, why are we relying on Angelo? Are we getting an Airbnb or a hotel? Dom says, Airbnb, I think. She says, okay, bet. What time are we going to go over there? Dom says, I don't know. Kenzie says, could you give me like an estimate so I can do stuff? He says, what do you need to do? Kenzie says, are we leaving around 4, 5, 7, 3? He says, it don't matter. She says, OMG, bro, you need to tell me a time right now so I know when to start getting ready. And you never showed me what you're wearing. Dom says, he said it doesn't matter. And I sent a snap. Kenzie says, you're really making me not want to go. He says, why, babe? You're stressing me out. Kenzie says, literally, you're so unhelpful when it comes to outfits. Like, I had my outfit picked out, then you told me I couldn't wear it. Or save it for tomorrow when it's going to be effing 84 degrees. Dom says, okay, let's just dress red, white, and blue on July 3rd then. Kenzie says, yeah, I'm really not about to go. He says, I don't care. I'll wear red, white, and blue. Then I won't have anything to wear tomorrow, though. Kenzie says, bruh, I don't even want to wear red, white, and blue anymore. I don't even know what I'm going to wear. That's why I'm freaking out. Dom says, have you ate today? Eat, then pick out an outfit. She says, OMG, yes, I ate. He says, match with me, white, not orange. It's that easy. It's that easier. Why do you do that? She says, I'm just laying on my floor. He says, does that mean you're not coming? You still have time. She says, I don't have an outfit. He says, Kenzie, you've been trying to pick an outfit for 3 hours. Is it really worth it? Like, put on some nice shorts and a white shirt. Like, you're stressing me out, and I already been trying to squeeze so much shit in before. Then the vacation, that shit got me pissed, and everyone got to go 75 on the fast lane. Like, I can't deal with all of that. It's just an outfit. Kenzie says, half of that doesn't even have to do with me. He said, I wasn't saying that. I'm saying I'm stressed out. Honestly, it's cool. You don't have to worry about an outfit. I don't think I'm going anymore. I'm just going to freak the F out. Kenzie says, well, you didn't even tell me a time that we were going. So I don't even know when to get ready. You don't have to freak out. Dom says, I don't have an outfit either now. I'm all covered in banana. Kenzie says, "Why?" He says, "I'm so done." She says, "With?" He says, "Everything." She says, "Okay?" Question mark. He says, "Okay." She said, "What time is the party?" So what time is the party? And are you going to answer me now? Why does she always trip about her outfits? This always causes a fight. You know what I mean? Hey, Natasha, good to see you, love. They're really arguing over outfit colors. Dude, I know. She took advantage of still being 18, 17, and not legally liable, or so she thought. Yeah, she's annoying. I don't know what the hell the banana is about. Hey, Whittle. Dude, 3 hours over an outfit, I would be like, yeah, not me, definitely not me. She says, "So what time is the party? Are you going to answer me now?" She sends 6 question marks. He says, "We can go whenever." I said that. "Imma go in 20 minutes, though." Kenzie says, "Oh, okay, then you can just go the F alone, since you're going to leave in 20 minutes, though." He said, "Okay, I thought you wanted a time. You have 3 hours to pick an outfit." She says, "Oh, are you keeping track? You don't dictate how long I get to take, but thank you." She says, "I do need time." He says, "You dictate how long I take when you're trying to get me to go somewhere." She says, "Actually, I don't. I just ask you what time you're going to be done, but you can believe that. When you want to actually be helpful, you can text me." He says, "I'll be running around all day, not showered nor eaten, and then you rush me to get ready to do something." And you know that's true. And I did try to help so many times. Kenzie says, "Telling me to just get ready is not helpful at all. Or just saying, pick a couple outfits." Dom says, "Okay, Kenzie, how about this?" She says, "Also extremely unhelpful." He says, "You tell me when you're ready, then we can go. It's all on you. I'll be ready. Just let me know when you are." I even said that earlier. She says, "Well, I don't know what you're wearing now, and I'm just laying on my floor, so it's going to take a while." He says, "Okay, you can meet me there then." She says, "So you're not wearing orange anymore because you got shit all over your clothes?" "Okay, I'll just ride four-wheelers with Lincoln." He says, "No, I wiped it off." She says, "You're so effing rude." He says, "You're rude. You're making me freak out. I've been doing shit all day and you're tweaking me over a fucking outfit." Oops, sorry. That slipped out. Sorry, YouTube. Well, I'm not really sorry. Get over it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking you for your help. Dom says, "Like, how am I rude?" Kenzie says, "You're the one who set me off about the outfit in the first place by telling me I can't wear the outfit I already picked out." Dom says, "It's not the 4th of July. Wear your outfit. I don't care. Imma wear this." He says, "Sorry, I just tried to inform you that no one is dressing like it's 4th of July. That's all I was trying to say. I said I didn't care." Kenzie says, "You're literally boring. I'll just wear all black." Dom says, "I'll wear red, white, and blue too." She says, "No." He says, "Honestly, I'm too mad to go now. Go ride four-wheelers with Lincoln." He says, "Glad you're happy." She says, "Who the F said I'm happy? What the F is wrong with you? Literally, you have issues. I'm done." Okay. Whoa. You guys, what the actual hell? We literally just saw her freaking out about her outfit. She's the one popping off, and now she's blaming it on him like she's done. Mandy. Hey, Anton says, "I love sassy Marley." Yeah, what the hell is all that all about? Like, she does it constantly, and I'm just so sick of her shit. Um, she literally takes 3 hours to pick. He's telling her exactly what she wants to hear, and she's like, "I'm done." Yeah, he's the only one with issues. She says, "Literally, you have issues. I'm done." He says, "I really just wanna hang myself." She really does make him, like, lose his marbles. She dated Tyler before Dom, then they all ended up as friends, but Tyler told her she cheated on both of them. He always threatens to delete himself when he fights with her. And this is what she does, says Mallory. Yeah, I know you were being sarcastic, Natasha. Yeah, like, oh, he's not the only one with issues. No, Kenzie has them too. Um, thanks, Alcine. Miss you. She thinks she's a designer wearing red. Yeah. Push him until he's over the edge. But who really is the one who ended up going over the edge? You know, is truly Kenzie. I don't know. Are you guys questioning like whether like what happened in that car? I feel so weird doing this long form. I haven't done this in a while. All her friends are pretty and cute. She looked all washed up, says Chris. He says, I really just want to hang myself. Then I really just want to say the meanest things ever. She says, why the F would you ever say that? You're not going to do that. Like, why is this making you feel this way? Like, what the hell? What the F? Over me, stressed out about an effing outfit. It really sets you off that bad. Like, oh my gosh. Then you're lying to me then you're trying to blame me like, no, it will never be my fault. So you can tell me if we're going to this party right now or I'm going to go to Lincoln's. I'm not answering because I know you're just going to scream. Okay, so he's trying to call her. She says, I'm not answering because I know you're just going to scream. Dom says, I'm not going. I already broke so much shit in my house. How many times does this happen? She never took her foot off the gas. Kenzie could only be a model for the them. Definitely question what's really going on. It's her way, nothing else. I wonder if she learned this behavior from her mother, says Tammy. I wouldn't be surprised. Natalie Shirilla. Yes, Austin. Are you shook? I was thinking if possible, Mackenzie and Damian got into an argument maybe about him staying at Dom's. Miss Ward says it made me wonder because of all the text messages, and she reached out to his mom multiple times about it. Yeah. Okay, he says, I'm not going. I already broke so much shit in my house. Why can't you just pick an outfit or not make me freak out about it? Kenzie says, I didn't make you do anything, buddy. And I do have an outfit picked. You told me I can't wear it. Dom says, I can't make you do anything, buddy. He says, your body, your choice. Wear your outfit, buddy. He says, I'll match you. She says, no, I'm not wearing it now. He says, I already broke my dining room table and my chair. She says, what the F is wrong with you? He says, I'm so mad. She says, I can't do this shit. And this is all my fault somehow. LMAO in caps. He said, it's everyone's fault. Mainly my fault. I shouldn't have tried to get anything done. I should have sat around and helped you with an outfit. Sorry, I was just trying to make some money. You know, money is stressful for me. She says, yeah, I'm so sorry you did that. Wow. He says, you're so unhelpful when I'm freaking out so bad I could KMS. He says, you're stressed out because you can't pick an outfit. She says, you never let me help you when you're freaking out. I have an outfit now. He says, when I'm freaking out sending you videos of me screaming, don't make me, don't, don't move me saying I have problems and you're going to screen record it. Oh, when I'm freaking out sending you videos of me screaming, saying I have problems and you're going to screen record it. She's just something else. He says, like, I feel like I can't tell you any of my problems now. She says, WTF. He says, when I'm freaking out, you can just go, okay, sorry, babe, and then leave me alone. Kenzie says, that's a literally not okay to send anyone videos of you screaming. So yes, it's okay for me to tell you you have problems when you effing do that. Dom says, yeah, maybe someone who's doing that isn't okay. That would be a good thought. Kenzie says, what would you want me to do when you send me videos of you screaming? Dom says, sorry, I'm stressed out. Understand why I'm screaming, or at least try. Or if you can't do that, don't be mean about it. Maybe like, okay, wow, he's tweaking. Geez, I should leave him alone. Kenzie says, so what do you want? Do you want me to talk to you when you're flipping out or leave you alone? He says, but like I'm doing all these things and I keep calling you and FaceTime you and you just like don't talk or be a martyr. If you're going to understand, talk. But if you're not going to understand and stick inside your way of thinking, then don't. Kenzie says, so are we going or not? She sends exclamation and um, exclamations and question marks. He says, I'm almost calmed down now, so maybe. He said, I hope my TV isn't broken. She said, well, it wouldn't be my fault if it is. He says, ha, so funny. She says, wasn't trying to be funny. Can you tell me yes or no? He says, maybe give me some more time to chill. She says, well, I'm just going to go with Lincoln soon, I guess. I want to go, but if you don't, I'll just go with her, I guess. He says, why are you doing this to me? Like, this is hurting me. She says, I'm saying I want to go with you. FaceTime me. Dom says, you take so long, I call you and you say you just laying on the floor doing nothing. And then when I finally freak out, you're ready to go and go to Lincoln's. Like, why? She says, I want to go with you. He says, you want to go with me now? She said, I've said that like 3 times. He says, after I have a mental breakdown, she emphasized the message and she emphasized saying, I want to go with you. He says, now you're ready? She said, I wanted to go before too. He says, after I have a mental breakdown, you weren't ready then. I can't believe after I have a mental breakdown, now you're rushing me to go. Like, why? Kenzie says, of course, you're going to argue about this now. I'm done talking to you. He says, I'm not arguing. He says, I'm just genuinely hurt. Oh boy, how the tables have turned, huh, guys? Like, first, it was Kenzie it was like the other way around now. Now he's like, I'm her. And he's like, text me. And he's like, calling her. She is where she needs to be. We can all agree on that. But something took place in the car and then ended horribly. First Liberties, what's up? This has to be the most related to drugs at an early age. Miss Ward, I've heard another woman say that has happened to them in the past, which could be terrifying. His poor mom either had no idea what her son did or she used her law firm to protect him, would not give detectives access to his phone. I'm reading the comments. I don't think Dom pressed the gas pedal on the passenger side, but he could have held her leg down when they were fighting. Mallory says, I think they were fighting over her getting mad about something. Could it be possible that he was doing something at that party? Anton's singing to me. What did Hossein say? She's extremely controlling. Hossein. She had no problem picking an outfit, dude. She chips so much about picking clothes. She looks and acts goofy no matter what she's wearing, and it's all because of her personality. Thank you, Widow. Dom's mother was arrested for dealing in the 80s. Yeah. Oh, she was? I was thinking Natalie. I'm not actually surprised to hear that. He says, I'm just genuinely hurt. Dom says, and you keep saying I didn't let you wear the outfit when I said you could. I said I'd match with you. I was just trying. Sorry, you guys, there's typos in this one. Just trying to let you know that no one else is dressing 4th of July themed. I was just letting you know. Not like I was letting you wear it, but that's my fault too when I said it don't matter either way. Like, check the combo, for real. He says, for real, for real. And he said it again, for real, for real. She said, it's not your fault. He says, okay, so now it's not, but an hour ago it was. She said, OMG. He says, are you done yet? Question mark. Question mark, she says. Question mark again, and then again, and again. Dude, and again, and again. He says, you hurt me. You got some making up to do. She says, okay. So are we going? He says, I need an apology or something. She says, for what? LMAO. He says, you can figure that out. She says, okay, so are we going? He says, when I get some type of apology. She says, you don't need an apology. He says, I do. She says, okay, then effing tell me what you want me to say then. He says, no, that's not an apology. She says, all I said was you have issues and that's not even that bad. Dom says, apologize and I'll apologize. It was more than that. Kenzie says, no, LOL, I don't need your apology. He says, okay then. She says, so we're not going? Question mark. He says, I'm just waiting for an apology. She says, you're not getting an apology, Dom, unless you tell me exactly what for. Do you want me to say, I'm sorry for asking you to help me pick an outfit? Like, come on, buddy. Question mark. Question mark, question mark, question mark. He says, sorry for being a martyr and making it harder for you. And then it should be, I know you have things to do. He copied and pasted that. Dom says, and that's to simplify it. She says, I'm sorry for asking you for your help. Next time, I'll make sure you're not busy before I text you. Dom says, that was very narcissistic. Kenzie says, do you know what that means, Dom? He said, yes, very well, actually. She said, okay. He says, that's how a narcissistic person would apologize, babe. She says, no, it's not you. You said you were busy. So I said, next time I will make sure you're not busy, trying to be considerate of your time. I would have said, I don't give an F if I was a narcissist. Dom says, no, I'll explain. She says, you don't have to explain. I already understand. I'm done texting you about I'm done texting you. Text me when you know what time you're going to go. He said, I said you were making it harder than it should have been X. Then it should have, okay, he said, I said you were making it harder than it should have been. Example, me trying to talk to you and you don't answer when you said sorry. I asked you for your help when you're busy. Those are different. You saying sorry, I asked for your help because you were, etc., where it's wrong if you would have just said, sorry, I was hard on you. I just needed help would make more sense and not make me sound like the bad guy. Just apologize, then I'll be ready to go. Kenzie says, so should I just tell Lincoln I'm going with her? Dom says, you're really not going to apologize? She emphasized her message. He says, no, babe, just actually apologize. Like, you know. She says, I already did, bud. We can either go have fun or I can go have fun. Wow. Who thinks that Kenzie's talking to someone else here? Why do I get that feeling? You know what I mean? She's acting like, oh, she can be over him, move on, et cetera, but it's like, probably because you're talking to someone else. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and crazy in my head. Hey, TS, good to see you, girl. Who? Look at who? Oh, they're both so passive aggressive. It's annoying. She did, and he's rubbing her nose in it. Probably. Yep, I agree. Thank you, Widow. Even if she didn't do it on purpose or remember, her calls prove she has zero remorse or regard for what she did. Yeah. I feel like she's lost interest in him. That's what I'm saying. I feel like she has lost interest in him too. She's more like, fine, I'll go without you. I'll go have fun without you. Fine, I'll find someone better. Okay. She says, we can either go have fun or I can go have fun. He says, no, you're still implying that you're right. Surrender. We can both be sorry. Like, it doesn't have to be right and wrong. She said, I don't need your apology. You're really just wasting my time at this point. I'm just waiting for you to go. Or I'm waiting for you to tell me that we're not going to go so I can go with Lincoln. Dom says, I'm just waiting for you to apologize or not be so hostile. She says, you're waiting for nothing. I'm not going to apologize. I already did. So you can either get over it or not going. He says, you really don't want to go? Like, why? She says, I do, but I'm not apologizing. I said ready to go like for an hour ago. I've been ready for an hour. Literally tell me now because I'm going to tan if we're not going. He says, you're still being mean. She says, oh my God, I'm not going now. I'm done. Go alone. He says, you really do that? Then just apologize or at least not be so hostile. She says, I mean, that is what I just said. I'm not going to be hostile at all. You're just still tweaking. He says, no, babe, you're being hostile. I would just not go, but I kind of have something to do. So you coming or not, babe? She says, I mean, if you're going to take forever, I guess not. You argue with me over bullshit for like hours. That's why I would want to go. That for hours, like, why would I want to go? He says, okay, then. She says, I've been ready for like 2 hours and you're just trying to force an apology. That's not how it works and never will work like that. He says, I want you to actually be sorry. She says, I didn't do that shit. Get over it. He says, narcissist. He says, that's what that is. She says, okay, cool. I'm just not going to go. You literally wasting my effing time. Dom says, see, I can admit I was wrong. If I am or not, you're not admitting it. Like, who cares? Kenzie says, okay, be done or stop texting me. He says, done with what? Like, that's life. When we argue, we should both be able to admit we're wrong, whether we are or not, because it'll keep us both happy. It's like that video, there is no wrong or right, just perspective. Like, let's decide this is over and go have a good time. She says, I literally said, be done. You just repeated what I said, but longer. Dom says, I understand I stress myself out more than I should be, and I know that, but I am jam-packed schedule and I should have been more patient. But yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been tweaking out. I was really frustrated though. See, now say your part. We both understand each other, then all love again. Do you want to go now? He says, I'm coming now. He says, I have things on me. Are you going to yell because I don't want to tweak when I have things on me? Also, are we drinking or no? Because I have to bring a bottle. Actually, I got it on the way. I'm on the way in a sec. Can you grab me a water? She says, yeah. Come over here. Okay, she says, yeah, that's at 4:59 p.m. And then it jumps to midnight. She says, come over here. Dom, 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 WTF. He says, what? She says, I'm gonna just go to the car since you want to stay by the fire. We're still going to the fair at 3 o'clock, right? Or wait, since you want to stay by the fire. That was at 12:28 a.m. Then she says the next morning at 9:14, we're still going to the fair at 3 o'clock, right? He says, bet. She sends a bunch of TikToks. She says, babe, hey, at 10:34 a.m. She says, are you dead? Babe. He says, I just woke up. What's up? She says, I got scared because you weren't answering, babe. He says, LOL, I just peed for like 5 minutes straight. She said, LOL. Do you want to come get do you want to come get a pulp? He says, I do, but I was about to shower because I want to be ready for fair. I'm at the shower. I'll probably come to pulp around 2-ish. I want to invite Blair to the carnival, but I don't know if you'd want Mallory to come. She says, it's not that I don't like her. I just don't like how she's always effing late. Then then they can come to the carnival with us. Dom says, I'll ask Blair what he's doing. Don't take out your anger for them on me. Blair can't go though. He got work. Kenzie says, okay, bet. I guess the carnival's over. He says, what? How? She sends the link to the website. She says, why? It's saying it ended. I'm salty. Then she sends another link. He says, all the other ones like 2+ hour away too. She says, I see them in Northridge and Berea. She sends a link again. I don't know if that's how you say it. He says, bet, I'll go. Berea or North Ridgeville. I feel like Ridgeville would have better carnival. She says, well, you can see if it's even a carnival. She says, I'm working. He says, LOL, it felt that heavy. I felt that heavy. She said, what? Is that a yes or a no? He says, I looked it up on the internet. It doesn't say it has carnival rides. It says food and entertainment though. So probably music, and it also has paddle boat rides or something, but who cares about that? He says, I can't find the Northridge one though. She says, then there probably isn't one. This is annoying the F out of me. He says, well, you told me you seen the one in North Ridgeville. And it took me a while to find the Berea Facebook post. She sends a link of something. He says, I seen that. Do you want to go? I don't think there's carnival rides though. She says, I'm home at 3:13. He said, what's the plan? Go to Berea? Do you want to come over and finish this joint real quick? She says, I'm here. And that's at 3:50 p.m. Is this a new? Yeah, no, they went to the party, I guess, and it was the next day. I think her mom fed her advice. She started reversing the role. Hey, Ladybug. Okay, widow. Nag, that's funny. Good to see you. She says, I'm here. Okay, so that was at 3:50 p.m. And then at 10:06 on 7/4, she says, you really want to break up? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, more question marks, another question mark. You have 1 minute to answer or I'm leaving. Is that a yes? Question mark, question mark. I'm getting really sick of her damn question marks. She says, okay, cool. I'm going home. She says, you effed up. I think I'm gonna go home. He says, okay, babe, I'll come soon. You want to have everyone go to your house? She says, bruh, I'm not leaving you here with the girls. I do not trust you. He says, bruh, I don't care about them. They're all older and Def came with dudes. She says, I don't really care. That don't mean shit these days. I want to just go to bed. He says, nah, let's have a good night. We can at least do something. Everyone want to chill with us. She says, I'm not drinking. And everyone sucks and is boring. He says, okay, you don't have to. Everyone out here's having fun and we can still go to your house, have fun. I'm trying to chill with some of my dudes. She says, I want to go home. I want to leave, but I can't trust you. You must be slow or something. Is that what that is? He says, where did you go? It's 10:54 p.m. He says, and why am I slow? She says, because I really can't think of anything else other than that. Like, honestly, I'm leaving and you're not coming. Nice to know your priorities. He says, why are you doing this? She says, I can't even explain what you're doing. The fact that you didn't even come get me for the fireworks, literally everything. Like, what the F is wrong with you? Why am I doing this? You ask. Ask yourself. You were keeping a 5 foot distance from me, said Dom. Kenzie says, clearly your whack ass responses are the problem. He says, come chill with me. She says, no, I'm not going to follow you like an effing dog. You can come get me. And if a bitch talk to you one more time, I will literally slice her. Dude, what is her problem? Is she sick in the head? Just tuning in. I know there's going to be issues. April, we've already been through a few. Yeah. Uh, I'm reading your guys' comments. Imagine making, yeah. I realized that, like, she throws a fit about them going out, and she's like, "Let's go out, let's go out." And then she gets so insecure and controlling and possessive that even being around other people, she can't handle it. And so she's like, "Let's go. You're a psychopath. You're gonna cheat on me." You know what I mean? Hey, April. Yeah, but they don't mention multiple phones, Dom. Yeah, he had his rug phone, remember? He says, and if a bitch come talk to you, I'm gonna cut her head off, basically. He says, I have ears. She says, I have ears. Well, wasn't cut her head off, but you know what I mean. She says, you literally have 1 minute to show up. I'm going home and we're not talking. I'm going home. Yeah, and we're not talking. He says, Haley asked me to go to the bathroom. Where are you? She says, when did I ask her what she said? I don't care who is talking to you or what they said. I'm honestly just leaving. Clearly, you care more about everyone else than me. It's okay, babe. Just go get drunk and take pills. Whoa. She's like really something else right now. Yeah, Anton's like, leave. And she wonders why he doesn't want her to go with him when he goes out. This is why he never wants to go hang with his friends because she acts like this. She says, "It's okay, babe. Just go get drunk and take pills. Clearly, that's fun for y'all." She says, "I know the F you didn't just turn around. OMG. OMG again." She says, "Honestly, the funny thing is, you just listened to me when we're first getting in the car. You would have known you forgot your phone." And then it ends there at 12:04 PM in the middle of the night. Then it jumps to the next morning on the 5th at 1:31 PM. She says, "Come visit." He says, "Maybe. I'm not dressed or showered." She says, "Come." He says, "How is it going?" She said, "Nug, we're getting 30 chicken minis." He said, "You feeling okay?" "When we getting them?" She said, "My mom is delivering them." He said, "To pulp?" "Shit, Imma have to go pull up." "You work tomorrow?" She says, "No." "Wait, I don't work Wednesday and Thursday." He says, "Dude, it's supposed to be 90 all day, and I was gonna go say Mohican." She says, "F, I will call off. Dead ass. I work the morning. I'm trying to get off." He says, "Let's see who wanna go." She says, "I wanna go so bad. I don't think anyone's gonna take my shift, but I have a plan." He said, "What's your plan?" "Angelo will go." She says, "I'm a fake sick and say I puked again because I know no one about to take my shift." Dom says, "When do you not work? I didn't even check weather for Loudonville. I checked Strongsville. I'm fried." She sends a attachment of something, a screenshot, I think. And he says, "Bruh, nah, don't be mean. Just don't say nothing." She says, "LOL. I deleted it, but she is nasty AF." He says, "Yeah, but that doesn't make you any better than her for saying that, babe." Kenzie says, "Okay, bye." So the screenshots were clearly about someone. She says, "Okay, bye." He says, "Do you feel me?" She says, "No." He says, "Okay, bye then, babe." She says, "It's okay, just be on Morgan's side." Oh, so it was a screenshot about Morgan. She needs to like make up her damn mind because I thought she also didn't like what's the other girl's name? That was like flirting with Dom. Was that Morgan? When he was like, "You're flirting with a child," remember? Who was that girl? I can't keep track, to be quite honest. She's not brilliant and beautiful, so why did he put up with her? I don't know. No. Was it Mallory? Mandy? What? Remember, was it oh, yeah, it was Meg. Was that her friend? Remember she was like, "You said you were flirting with a child." I can't remember, but anyways, point is she's hating on her friends and then she's like hanging out with them and stuff. I'm like rolling my eyes. She said, "It's okay, just go be on Morgan's side." He says, "People aren't better than other people. Even if they are, it doesn't need to be shared." Kenzie says in caps, LMAO. "Literally block me," she said. My eyes are going to get stuck. He says, "There is no side. What the F is wrong with you?" I'm just saying, don't be mean to people for no reason. Like, spread positivity, not negativity. And if you don't got anything positive for someone, don't do it at all. You know that. Because he says, "Do you even know what you're talking about?" Clearly not. LOL. She says, "Grace Corton said she wanted to go." Dom says, "I don't know if we could go with just her, LMAO." Kenzie says, "That's what I'm saying." Dom said, "You can tell her if she bring a group or something." Kenzie said, I told her. Dom said, for sure. Then she sends a screenshot of herself. Dom says, cute. It's 6:55 p.m. now. She says, what time are we going tomorrow? Then she sends question marks. Answer. He says, phone died. She says, can B go with Grace? Question mark. Dom said, yeah, of course. Let's get Jared to go. He said, are you going to call off? She says, I'm off. He said, bet. She says, yay, I'm excited. He says, bet. He says, what are you doing, babe? How is chilling with that girl? Answer me quick, babe, so I know you're good. She says, I'm okay, babe. He says, okay, babe. He says, what are you doing now? She says, National Barrio, then a bar, I think. I don't know. We might smoke. He says, you don't even drink. LOL. I'm about to run at home right now and smoke a wood. She said, I know. I'm not going to drink. LMAO. I want to smoke. She says, how early are we going tomorrow? Do we have everything we need? He says, we got to be ready for tomorrow too. No, we need food. She said, okay. He said, I'll be okay. You need food. She said, what kind of food do we? He said, sandwich. Best. He says, I don't know what else. Sandwiches, chips, cereal, shit like that. Make sure to eat good breakfast too. She said, what time are we going so I can tell? Then she sends question marks. He says, we're leaving before 10. He says, is that what we're aiming for? She says, okay. Oh, is what we're aiming for. She says, okay, bet. He says, what time are you coming home? That's at 10:14 p.m. He says, should I sleep here? Kenzie says, what time do you want me to come home? You can sleep at my house or you can sleep at your house so your back isn't hurting. I don't want you to be mad about that in the morning. He says, let me know what time you think you're coming. She says, I don't know. Give me a time. Whenever. She says, before 12. He says, no, I just felt like complaining. LMAO. She says, I hate you. LMAO. He says, well, my back did hurt. She said, oh, haha. He says, I'm about to smoke a wood, so take your time. She says, well, should I come before 12? He says, yes. He says, get enough sleep and eat breakfast in the morning. She says, okay, bet. He says, I'm sad I broke the chair at 10:36. He says, I need babe hugs. She said, it's okay, babe. We cuddle soon. I'm coming home at 11. He says, okay, babe. Are you home? She says, yes. He says, I might come. She says, you can if you want to go with baby black. I want you to come. You can if you, whoa, it's the same message. I don't know what that means. Okay. And then it jumps to, that's at 4:14. He sends a blank message or an emoji. And then at the next morning at 9 a.m. on the 6th, he says, hi, babe. Or Kenzie says, hi, babe. He says, babes. She says, what all do we need to do? And when should I get up and start getting ready? What time are we leaving by? He says, right now. Pack yourself food. She says, what swimsuit should I wear? He says, I don't know. Which one should I wear? She says, I don't know. I might wear a blue one, blue, green, or pink. He says, okay. She says, she questioned it. He said, I'm wearing my pink one, so maybe my tan one. So blue or pink? Probably pink. She says, okay. Want me to get meat and bread too? She says, if you see it, if not, it's cool. She says, nah, I'll just go to the drug mart. She says, Dom? He says, bet. She says, where are you at? He says, brushing my teeth. She says, where? This is giving me too much anxiety. Wait. She said, where? That was at 10:12. And then at 1:48 p.m., she says, this is giving me too much anxiety. Like, does your mom not like me or something? She sends like and 10 question marks. Babe, I'm about to be home, she says. Dom says, bet, I'll come in a sec. He says, babe. Oh, wait. So that was at 11:52. I wonder why she said that. Does your mom not like me? No, she probably doesn't, Kenzie, because you're rude and disrespectful. Her mom probably mooches off Dom for cigarettes. Really? I'm surprised her mom doesn't tag along. Mm. Okay, so it goes to the next day at 9:16. She says, "Hi, babe." He says, "Sorry, I sleep here." She said, "It's okay. So you don't want to go to Crystal meeting today?" She says, "Should I get my nails done today?" He says, "I didn't think we were where is the crystal? Oh, the crystal mine." She said, "Should I get my nails done today?" He says, "I didn't think there was a crystal mine." She said, "It's like an hour away, I think, but it's going to rain today." She sends Google links, searches, more Google searches. He says, "That didn't work. The link isn't clickable. Yeah, let's figure out where it is and find a good day to go. But we should go to a drive-in movie." She said, "Should I get my nails done today?" He says, "Yeah." She says, "Do you want to go get breakfast?" Question mark, question mark, question mark. He says, "What are you doing now, babe?" At 3:53 p.m. She says, "At my nail appointment. I might go to Cedar Point with Lincoln." He said, "Today?" She said, "Tonight." He said, "Sounds fun. When you going?" She says, "I don't know. Probably after my nail appointment." He says, "I got you." He says, "I made some good bread today." She said, "Really? We should go out to eat soon. I have money on my account." He says, "I'm down. I was thinking that." He said, "Hibachi?" Ooh, that sounds good. She says, "I'm down. We should go out to eat though, like, and then in just typo. I don't know what she said. And he says, "I want them to make it in front of us." She said, "Yes." The hibachi. She says, "I'm down." He questioned what she said. He says, "Lit." Oh, she meant to say in there. He says, "Bet." He said, "Should we try new place or samurai?" Shinto? Eh? She says, "Samurai is really good. I don't know if I like the hibachi though. They have gas dumplings." He said, "It's good, I'm pretty sure." That was at 4:29 PM. Okay, and then it jumps to 8:07 and he says, "Love you too." How's CP? Oh, Cedar Point. She says, "It's going good. I'm about to get in line for the Maverick." He says, "Lit." She says, "I'm scared." He says, "I wish I was there for you." She says, "I know, I wish you were." He says, "I would hold your hand." Okay. And then she said, "This guy is a B word." 9:30 PM. I'm not able to tell who that is. Oh my god. I need to get a drink. Hold on. They spend a lot of money on food going out all the time. Dude, that's all they ever do is go out. Okay, to eat and smoke. Mm, okay, wait, what? Okay, yeah, she said this guy is a B word. Kenzie says he tried to make me put my $80 bag on the effing floor. Yeah. And I put it on the floor and then he made me get off the ride. I should have just called him an FAGGOT word. Then Dom says, "Damn." And he repeats the word. Kenzie says, "I know he's literally overweight. That makes sense. Overweight. That makes sense." Dom says, "Call him fat." Kenzie says, "He threatened to call security on us, so we had to run away." Dom said, "What did y'all do?" Kenzie says, "I wouldn't put my $80 back on the effing ground. That's what I didn't do." And then I called him an effort or some shit like that. Then he kicked us off the ride. Kenzie says, "OMG, bruh." She says, "Come, come. I know you didn't just do that." Wait, 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 wait. It jumped to the next day. My bad. She says, "Bruh," at 11:48 PM. Okay, and then it jumps into midnight. She says, "Come, come. I know you didn't just do that." He says, "Do what?" She said, "Leave when I said come back." Dom says, "I didn't know what you said." Kenzie says, "I don't want to go if you're going to be in a bad mood or if you don't feel good." She says, "Mm-hmm." Wait. She says, the next morning at 11:05. He says, I'm about to go to my house. She says, tell me when you're ready, baby. Do you want to drive or do you want me to drive? Wear something that you don't care about getting dirty. Babe, this is on the 8th at 11:54 a.m. He says, why? How dirty are we going to get? She said, well, we're going to be in caves. Dom said, I'm not really feeling it today anyway. My throat is still bothering me. I brushed my teeth too. It's all scratchy and mucusy. Ew. Kenzie says, oh. Dom says, yeah, we could wet cave. Yeah, a cold cave would probably just make it worse. Kenzie says, should I go with someone else? Like I wanted to go with you. He says, if you want to. She says, you're really just about to just not go because you're going to get a little bit dirty. Dom says, no, it's because my throat hurts and we're going in a cave. She said, you literally knew that this morning though, and you said you were still down to go. I said, tell me if you don't want to go, and you said you wanted to go. It's whatever. I guess I'll just effing stay home all day. He says, yeah, I was trying to go for you. Sorry, maybe we can go somewhere else. Let me know. She says, no, you tell me what else we can do. He said, movies? He said, Aurora, Hibachi. I'm about to shower. I'll talk to you after. Hopefully my throat is better or something. She says at 12:48 p.m. in the middle of the day. I asked my dad to make me a pancake and he made it burnt as F. Then when I asked him to make another one, he screamed at me. Dom says, I'm dying of hunger. I need a pancake. He sends a screenshot. Dom says, I feel bad for Toph. No one probably want to go because I don't think I'd want to go. What's the plan for today? Kenzie says, I want to do something fun. I'm probably just going to sleep all day. What? She says, I want to do something fun. I'm probably just going to sleep all day. He says, oh, okay. She says, everyone sucks. He says, sorry, I wouldn't have had fun at the crystal mine with a sore throat, but if you want to do anything else, let me know. She says, you let me know if we're effing doing something else. I told you you're picking like 8 times. He says, oh, okay then. She says, question mark, question mark. So you don't have anywhere? He said he loved the movies, comment, and hibachi. He says, I just don't want to go to a cold, wet cave when my throat hurts. Probably make it worse. Wouldn't be fun for me. She says, so are we going anywhere in caps? And then she said, or I'm going to bed. She sends 100 question marks. He says, I said some places we can go. She says, OMG, where? So I'm going to bed. He says, question mark. Okay. He says, I said we can go to the movies, dinner, Aurora. She said, okay, what one? Dom says, I don't know. I'll let you know in a little. She says, OMG, I'm for real about to just go to bed. Why does everyone suck so effing hard? Everyone is so boring and lame. He says, okay, babe, I'll talk to you later. She said, boring AF. No, we won't. I love when people just waste my days off. He says, okay, babe. He says, I don't feel good. She says, you literally are so dry. Don't ask me to go anywhere. I'm done going places with you. Dom says, I'm just going to talk to you when you're in a better mood. She says, no, that's not going to happen. Dom says, okay, so don't talk to you at all, or you're not going to be in a better mood. She says, just don't talk to me at all. I didn't know much till I found Melly. Just the fact that Miss Russo called her Dom's little girlfriend to the police had me wondering what was going on. Warm milk must have not been so warm. I forgot about the warm milk. Miss Russo knew it was a toxic relationship. Yeah, she did. They all knew. Um, Kenzie says, just don't talk to me at all. You already wasted my whole day off. Dom says, oh, okay. Kenzie says, yeah, I'm just gonna go with Lincoln. Dom says, you still got like 8 hours left in the day. Kenzie said, she actually likes to have fun. Dom says, I would go, but I'm sick, babe. Sorry. He says, I would rather have you go and have fun with Lincoln than go with me and not have fun. She says, okay. WTF. When you figure out your priorities, hit me up. He says, okay. She says, I'm going to give you one chance to fix that reply. Is that you saying you're not going to fix your reply? Because I can just go out to eat with someone else. Okay, cool. I'm not going anywhere with you anymore. She says, glad you made the right choice. He said, "Sorry, I was hooping. I don't know what you mean by priorities. And now we can go out somewhere for sure. I just meant dress nice. I'm already sweating and hooping. I don't want to dress up. Oh, not dress nice." He says, "I'm already sweating and hooping. I don't want to dress up." She says, "So you can dress up because it's fun?" She says, "Cave. Oh, so you can't." She said, "So you can't dress up just because it's fun?" So we're gonna go to a nice restaurant and just dress like fun? Oh, she meant bums, just dress like bums. She did a typo. He says, "I can't just wear what I'm wearing. What do you want me to wear?" She says, "Never mind. I'm just gonna wear a trash bag to dinner. What time are we going?" Dude, what is like, she's really angry. Pooping and pooping. Mallory's like, "Respect. Find out what it means." Yeah, yeah. Tell that to Kenzie. Yeah. Okay. She says, "I'm just gonna wear a trash bag to dinner. What time are we going?" He says, "Let's just not go then." She says, "Okay, have fun being gay with Blair. You make a mistake after mistake, keep on rolling." He says, okay." She says, "That's what you're going to choose to do." He says, "Do what?" She says, "You're going to choose to hang out with Blair and be gay with him, then go out to eat with me? Do you think we're going to get food? I'd rather just know if we're not getting food." Question mark. Okay, so should I just order food or something? Clearly, you're not looking up when the stuff closes like you said you were going to. Yeah, I'm just gonna have my mom order some food. What the F? Dom says, "Yeah, it closes at 10. We can go." Sorry, the message didn't send. And get food now if you want. Actually, probably should. She says, "No, I'm probably not even about to go to dinner tonight, so it's probably not even gonna work out." Dom said, "Okay, babe." She said, your effort levels literally disgust me. You're pushing me away." He says, "You don't have the best attitudes towards shit. When I try, you just have a bad attitude and stress me out." She says, "It's okay. We're not talking about me, we're talking about you." Dom says, "I was talking about me." She says, "Where?" He says, "I was saying why I haven't been giving so much effort, because you haven't had a good attitude towards me." She said, "Okay, cool. Just hang with the boys all night. That sounds like so much fun." Bruh moment. "I'm proud of you," she says. Dom says, "I wasn't even going to do that." Kenzie says, "I know, I'm telling you to do that." Dom says, "So you don't want to go out to eat or hang out at all?" She says, "I don't know, Dom, do you?" He says, "I don't want to if you're going to be mean." She says, "I don't want to if you're going to give no effort." He says, "I don't want to if you're going to have a bad attitude. Let's go to dinner tomorrow night, dress nice." She says, "I work 4 to 9, but I'm down after." He said, "Bet." He said, "It's lagging too bad." Oh, wait, so then it goes to the next morning. That was at 7:58 PM. He said, "It's lagging too bad. I can't hear you." He says, "I'm coming to sleep over, right? I miss you. Let's chill tomorrow before you work." She says, "Come over." Oh, wait, sorry, I had the times wrong on that. Let me go back. Let me go back. He says, not it wasn't in the morning, it was at night. I said 9. He said, at 9:42 PM. Sorry. He says, "It's lagging too bad." This is the 9th. He says, "I can't hear you. I'm coming to sleep over, right?" He says, "I miss you. Let's chill before you work tomorrow." She says, "Come over." She says, "I seriously hate this house so much." This is the next day at 7:38 AM. She says, "Come over." She says, "I seriously hate this house so much. I asked my dad if there's any cat food and he screams, 'Mom can't hear you,' from all the way up there, like N word. I was just talking to you." Okay, so then I go upstairs to ask my mom, and she tells me there's no cat food. So I was like, well, someone needs to go get cat food because they don't eat the hard food. They only eat the wet food. Then my dad was like, oh, well, you can go get it then. Then I said, so can you? Then he said, they're my cat. So I said, it's his house because he always likes to throw that in arguments that he said he's going to let out all the cats out of the house. Like, what the actual F? Dom says he wouldn't let them out. Kenzie says he's crazy. He, she says, okay, do you want to hang out or go to breakfast? He says, maybe. I honestly feel worse than yesterday. I feel all groggy and my throat is worse. She said, well, do you want to come snuggle then? He says, yeah, I need I need to fix my throat though. She said, come or not. She said, WTF. Oh, wait, it jumped. Okay, so she says, "Or not," and that was 11:53 AM, and then it jumps to the nighttime, 10:29. She says, "WTF? Okay, buddy." He says, "What?" At 11:31 PM. She says, "What the F?" She sends a screenshot of a message. Dom says, "WTF?" She says, "They FaceTime me in the car. I have no effing clue who it is. I thought it was just a friend because I don't save numbers." She says, "No clue." Wait, so she sent a screenshot of someone texting her and FaceTiming her. He says, WTF. She said, "They FaceTime me in the car and I have no clue who it is. I thought it was just a friend because I don't save numbers." No clue. He says, "Did you answer?" Dom says, "Yeah." And we were just, Kenzie says, "Yeah." And we were just saying, they know me. I couldn't tell who it was. Then I hung up and blocked him after they sent that text. Dom says, "I did snap search by number. It said it said Mo Abu. I don't know who that is." Kenzie said, "Who the F is that? WTF. Should I be effing scared?" Oh, so someone like FaceTime her. She didn't know who it was, and then someone texted her, threatening her. I wonder who it is. I'm reading your guys' comments. Will you buy me and my cat breakfast? Because I'm a broke. Hmm. Okay, so she says, "Should I be effing scared?" Like WTF. Then he sends an Instagram screenshot. He says, "I searched Mo Abu on IG. This is all I could find with mutual followers." Kenzie says, "I have no effing clue. He looks like a bitch. Now you can easily fight him. I don't know who the F he is. He can effing see me." Dom says, "How they even get your number though?" Kenzie says, "Bro, I do not know. I guess I have him on Snapchat, but I have never talked to him once." She sends a screenshot of her Snapchat. Dom says, "What a weirdo." Kenzie says, "No effing clue who he is. I'm kind of scared now, though." He says, "Yeah, if anything else happens, I'll contact him. How is work, babe?" Kenzie says, "It's going kind of slow today and I'm hungry and I don't know what I want to eat. What are you doing, babe?" Dom says, "At home, about to run down the street, then come back and shower." Kenzie says, at 5:50 PM, "Pack everything you need for tomorrow tonight because you're sleeping over my house tonight." She says, "Are you going to come visit me?" He says, "Yeah, I can. What time you want to eat? We're still getting Shintos later." She says, "Yes. I get off at 9. I need something to eat now. I might just go get a Chipotle kids meals." He says, "I can grab you something depending on what it is." "Yeah, Chipotle's lit." She says, "Because I can walk to it." He says, "I'd do that. That won't hurt your tummy either." She says, "Yeah, I think I'm about to order it right now." He says, "Nice." She said, "Sean came. Are you going to get pulp today?" He says, "I'm about to shower, so yeah, probably." She said, there's a fire in Broadview Heights. Oh, there's a there's a fair. She said fire, but then she says fair. Are you going to get your own meat or do you want my mom to get you some? She says, you just missed Kyle and Kristen. FaceTime ASAP. He says, what days is it? She said, and Sunday. Ends. Don't Whoa. That was at 8:21. Then she says, don't come anymore if you want a smoothie because it's too late now. You're taking too long. He says, okay. She says, when you come over, bring the blender from your house. He says, okay, I'll put it in my car now. She said, bet. I'm excited to go out to eat with you. Meet at my house? He says, what time? She says, I'm about to go to there. I'll probably be there at 9:30. He says, you're about to be home? I'm at Trevor's. I'll come in a sec. She said, dot, dot, dot. Why would you even try to squeeze in going to Trevor's house? Question mark, question mark, question mark. He says, because I did a play real quick because I thought you'd be closing for a bit and Trevor is on the way back. I can get to your house quicker from Trevor's too, I think. She says, I'm on the way. On Loon. He says, okay, I'll dip in a sec. Do you want me to stop and grab med bag real quick? I got the car if not. She says, I was just going to hit the bong when I got home and then I'm ready to go. We don't need any med bag unless you need it for canoeing tomorrow. He said, oh, okay, no, I was going to stop at my house after Shinto and grab my shit. I'm about to come in a sec. She says, okay, bet. Then the next morning at 8:59 a.m., she says, she just effed everything up. This is the 10th. She says, one, it's going to be effing freezing too. She doesn't even know what's going on because some reason I'm the one planning everything. Dom said, it's going to be 70 degrees. That's warm enough. And what planning is there to do? I just thought we'd drive there. Kenzie says, I can't even tan. And she's like, well, it's going to be hotter in the day. And she only wants to effing do the 4-hour one. Why are we effing up at 9 a.m. if we're only going to do the 4-hour one? Like, what the F? I'm so mad. Dom says, I wouldn't want to do the long one either, to be honest. And you still get a little tan. Kenzie says, well, why are we up at 9 a.m. if we're not doing the long one? He says, I don't know. I'm glad though, because we're going to be in the sun before it gets cloudy. She says, no, Dom, it's just going to be effing cold. Actually, true, but it's going to be cold. Dom says, under 70 probably gets a little chilly, but it's going to be like 75. It'll be warm enough. She said, yeah, this effing sucks. It's going to be fun with you though. Dom says, I don't think it sucks. I think it's fine. 40% chance of rain at 3 though. Hopefully that blows over. Kenzie says, okay, babe, well, I want you to come back to me. He says, about to come back soon, babe. He says, you're in the wrong line at 11:46. He says, you're in the wrong line. She says, tell me why my mom didn't get ice for a cooler for any of the effing drinks. Dom says, my mom ruined the food. Babe, should I come back over? I'm watching the fight right now at my house. Kenzie says, tell me why I got here and Caitlin and Destiny were checking out these 3 adults and they were like, oh, is this the girl? When I walked in, like, I'll really F someone up. At 4:01 p.m. on 7-Eleven, she says that. Dom said, I just asked them what they mean. Make them spill it out. Kenzie says, what are you doing at 6:01 p.m.? What should we get for food? He says, at my house, Angelo's chilling with me. I might come to Pulp and get a smoothie. Babe, is it busy? She said, it's not busy. She says, babe? She says, I don't know what to eat. He says, get 5 guys. He says, I'm going to come soon. She says, I might get Chipotle again, but I'm going to have you get it when you come. She says, Vinny came in again. He got fibroid again. Dom says, order it when I do pick it up. She says, just come in and I'll order it when you're here. Dom says, okay, bet. She says, you can't come after 8, so come now. He said, okay, bet. Kenzie says, kid meal, steak, extra lettuce, cheese, 2 tortillas, soft. Kids chip meal. Dom says, about a shower, so if I don't answer, that's why. Kenzie says, I need some, but I'm going to stop at your house and get some before I go. This is at 9:34 p.m. She says, I'm here. She says, I'm in the garage. Babe, when you're out, let me know. I need to sell a gram. Babe, babe, babe. Babe, she's blowing him up. He says, want me to come over when I'm done at 11:50 p.m. She says, if you want to, I miss you, babe, but I think the door is already locked. I'm about to fall asleep. He says, yeah, it'll probably be a bit. She said, it'll probably be a bit. That was at midnight. Then the next day on the 12th at 2:51 p.m., she says, Lexi is scamming 𝐷ITCHES off of eights. Dom says, Lexi B? How? Just tell those B words to go to right one. Kenzie says, I did, LMAO, and yeah, her. Dom says, what a broke, grimy B. Kenzie says, I'm hungry. He says, me too, I didn't eat breakfast. She says, can you get me food at 4:42 p.m.? He says, from where? She said, chicken mink. He says, can I go through the drive-through for that? Because it's like pouring. She says, can you sell a Paige a cart right now? He says, honestly, I don't know if I can drive in this. I need new windshield wipers really bad. He says, where do I gotta go? Like half the day he spends his time driving to meet her and get her Chipotle while she's working. He literally doesn't have a life other than sell rugs and entertain Mackenzie's bullshit. Like literally, she works at Pulp. Yeah, that's why she's always like, do you want to get a smoothie? She needs a burger. I literally never want to hear the word babe again, says Sarah Beth. Hey, Sarah. Imagine being in a relationship where you need to text your partner, letting them know you're going to shower. Dude, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I would be pissed. He says, where do I gotta go? She says, at 5:45, if you have to go pick up the chicken minis. This is on the 12th at 5 p.m. He says, what? She says, can you do that? He says, yeah, pick up WM at 5. Do they bring it to you or do I go in? 5:45. Dom says, and get me some. Kenzie says, Arby's. He says, Arby's? She said, hold on. He says, your texts haven't been making much sense. He says, I'm so mad at 5 p.m. He says, or wait, yeah, at 5 p.m. He says, I ran next door to go get food and Toph is like whining on the phone. So I had to run back and I just got my socks soaked AF for no reason. She says, oh God. Paige said you can meet her at Arby's. Sorry, I was taking orders. And at 5:45, you need to go to Chick-fil-A and get my chicken minis. The order is under my mom's name. He says, I'm not meeting her at Arby's. And also, do I go inside? And did you get me any? Let me know so I can make food because I haven't ate. She said, I got you some. Yes. Text her on Snapchat right now because they're in Pulp with me and it's hard being the mediator. He says, bruh, I'm not selling to her. She says, why? He says, I'm not meeting up for one car. Shit, I ain't even trying to drive in this rain. I told you I need new wipers. Yeah, I didn't know if I went inside or not because I remember one time they brought them out. So go in and say, what? I have a catering order for Natalie. Kenzie says, just say you have a catering order for Natalie. Kenzie says, I'll sell her the cart. When you drop off the minis, just give it to me. He said, is the food paid for? She says, 30 or 35. Yes. He says, 35. She says, okay. She says, don't forget it to get it. He says, get what? She said, the chicken minis at 5:40, 5:45. Dom says, I'm on the way to get him right now. She said, bet. He says, Chick-fil-A is paying $14.50 an hour. That's wild. Kenzie says, no way. I would still never work there though. Dom says, right? Like WTF. Yeah, you make good money. Smoothie's way easier. Kenzie says, yeah, for real. He says, what you make with tips? Kenzie says, $12, maybe more. Dom says, yeah, that's pretty nice. Kenzie says, are you there now? He says, yeah, waiting for them. Kenzie says, bet. He says, they got hello workers here for real. It's like, is it one or two orders? Kenzie says, 2 20-piece and a gallon of lemonade. She sends a screenshot of the order. Dom says, I bet. He says, where are we going at 8:10 p.m.? She says, not sure. It's for my birthday though. I'm excited. Dom said, it's going to be dope. wherever it is. Kenzie says, we're going to Universal. Dom says, "Hey, bet." She says, "What are you doing at 9:15?" He says, "Playing 2K." She says, "What's your medical card, doctor?" LMAO. He says, "I don't know why. I did the online thing." Kenzie said, "Paige's mom." Dom says, "What does she have?" Kenzie says, "I don't know. I'm not with her." Dom says, "She can go to her doctor or go online." "What are you doing, babe? I miss you," he says the next morning at 8:23 on the 13th. She says, "I miss you." He says, "What are you doing, babes?" She says, "Sleeping." He says, "Me too." She says, "I just woke up. I miss you, my little baby." He says, "I miss you too, my little nug. What's your plan for today?" She says, "I work at 4, but then I'm free. Look what I posted on Instagram, little nugget." She sends a screenshot. She says, "Okay." Oh, wait, it jumps to that was at 11:30 a.m. and it jumps to 6:41. She says, "Okay." He says, "What?" She said, "You haven't texted me all day." He says, "I was doing shit. I just got out the shower and I was probably going to slide to Pulp soon." She said, "Bet." "Are you not coming?" She says at 7:26. "You know I'm not making smoothies after 8 o'clock." "Babe, why are you not answering right now?" He says, She says, "Come." He says, "I'm here. I'm just waiting to a sec because there's hella people." She says, "Oh, haha." She says, "Was my mom waving at you? Did you see her?" Dom says, "I probably didn't see her for real. My hair's not up." Kenzie says, "I love you." Dom says, "I love you too." She says, "I want you to sleep over because I want to sleep over at your house, but I would have to early in the morning wash my eyelashes and everything." Dom says, "Maybe, babe." She says, "Babe, I'm off at 9:14." She says, "I'm about to be shower. I'm going to be home soon." He says, "I'll be home soon too." She says, "Where are you, babe?" She says, "I'm excited for tomorrow." He said, "Just got home." That was at 9:22 PM. Then it goes to the next morning on the 14th at 8:02. She says, "Good morning, baby. I'm ready to go to the carnival." He says, "What time are we going? Do you work?" She says, "No, I called off the rest of it." He says, "Nice." She says, "Do you want to go around 1?" He says, "When does it open?" She says, "I don't know." He says, "I don't know if it opens that early." She says, "I don't know what that combo should. I do not like it." Dom says, "What?" She says, "I said I don't know what that conversation was, but I did not like it at all. I did not like your replies either." Okay, so they were in between calls and texts. And she's like, "I don't like how you're talking to me. Wash your lashes." Yeah, 'cause she has fake ones, remember? She has to brush them with like a little wash and like a little eyelash brush. "You haven't texted me all day. How freaking dare you, Dom?" It was like a total of like 5 hours. Everyone, chill, please. I feel like she's going to stick to the whole she doesn't remember story. Oh, I have to tell you guys something. Remind me at the end about her condition. I found something out that I thought was hilarious. Dom said, or Kenzie says, "I did not like your replies either." Dom says, "It's your phone. I can't understand you. Hard to reply to messages. Then I can't hear." She says, "It's okay. Just put your trap in before me." That sounds so fun and exciting. He says, "What does that have to do with it?" She says, "OMG, I am done with this conversation. Do not text me until you understand." Literally, you guys, 8:14 AM in the morning. Yeah. I saw Kenzie wear pink cargo pants, so then I want stop it, ticka ticka. Says I saw Kenzie wear hot pink cargo pants, so then I went and bought hot pink cargo pants. I'm weak. Some people in Crackson's don't remember what happened. Okay, let me get a drink. Who is? Who is? Okay. Um, she says, "I'm so done with this conversation. Do not text me until you understand." Dom questions the message about trapping. He says, your phone didn't work and I didn't understand you. So now you're mad because I trap? You're not making sense at all." Just text me when you want to make sense. Kenzie says, no, I'm mad because you never take the effing second to just sit there and understand what I'm saying. You're just getting mad and shut down like a baby. Dom says, you're the one that said you gonna hang up. Still, I don't know what that has to do with trap. She says, you're the one that's giving the dry ass replies. OMG. He says, I can barely hear. She said, what the F is wrong with you? Dom says, there's literally nothing wrong with me. I couldn't hear you on the phone. So you hung up. Now you're mad at me because I trap. Sounds like you have the problem. Kenzie said, sounds like you're going to the fair alone today. Dom says, okay. She says, and that is a dry ass response that caused me to hang up on you in the first place. Go with Blair, I guess. He said, okay, I guess. She said, you clearly have effing issues. You're really about to start something extremely big. He says, you're the only one that has had an issue. And you're the only one who is about to start something. I didn't do anything. I just couldn't hear you on the phone. Kenzie says, but why would you just say okay? He says, to what? On the phone? I figured you just call me or text me or FaceTime me on your iPad. Kenzie says, you complain when I FaceTime you on my iPad. Dom emphasizes his messages. She says, the carnival opens at 3. That's when we're going. He said, so why are we going now? She said, we aren't. I just said the carnival opens at 3. That's when we're going. She says, OMG. Do you really not want to go with me today, Dom? Question mark, question mark, question mark. He says, I just asked why we were going now. You said I was going alone. I was just wondering. She says, why the F do you have to keep going? Why can't you just be like, bet that girl wants to buy an eighth from you? What? That girl wants to buy an eighth from you. And then she says, me. He says, who? She says, Lainey. He says, okay, let me know. He says, WTF? Oh no, he said, what are you doing? WYD. Dom says, you can apologize for starting a fight, then I'll do whatever with you. She says, literally, you're so dry and maniac. Oh, and manic. I'll just go to the fair alone then. She said, clearly you can't grasp that I'm mad because you wouldn't take the 4 seconds to understand what I'm saying. He says, you decided to start a fight over that when you could have just texted me or called me instead of FaceTime. That never works. She says, call or FaceTime never works. I already told you multiple times that it's just my phone, but I guess your mind just skipped over that. Dom said, I know it's your phone. Then why are you mad that I didn't take the time to listen on FaceTime when you could have just texted me? Because that's what I thought you were intending, and cause a fight over it. She says, OMG, you're too lazy to take 3 seconds to understand the sentence. He says, then say I put trap in before you. Kenzie says, just don't call or FaceTime me then if you're going to complain. Dom says, you're the one complaining about the FaceTime. I just hung up and was waiting for a call or text of what you were saying. But instead of just saying what you said, you just got mad. She says, you can text me when you want to stop complaining and go. Dom says, I'm not even complaining. I'm just saying what happened. What was I complaining about? He questions his message. Tell me. He puts an arrow pointing upwards. She says, not being able to hear me, and why didn't you call on my iPad? Why didn't I just text you? I'm seriously done with this conversation unless you're going to be normal and help me pick out an outfit. Dude, it's not even lunchtime and they've already been through all of this. And why can't she pick out her own outfit again? What is she, effing 2 years old? Shit, even a 2-year-old picks out their outfit. She's screwing up in jail. Yeah, I know she is. She ain't gonna get parole. Or do you think? I don't know. Let me know. Um, okay, she says, help me pick out an outfit. He says, you're delusional. Thank you. Oh my God, I was like waiting for that. Right? Here comes the insults. Her insults really damage him. Thank you, Jessica. Yes. It's called verbal, emotional, and mental abuse. He says, "You're delusional." He says, "I wasn't complaining about that. I said I figured you would just do that after I hung up FaceTime." She says, "Okay, I'm delusional. Okay, go alone." He says, "No, for real, you are. Like, I'm concerned." She says, "No, you're literally going alone. You suck." He says, "Kenzie, you're being delusional. I wasn't complaining about that. And saying you're delusional isn't an insult. I'm just concerned." Kenzie said, "It's okay, Dom. I'm not going to let you say I'm delusional when you're the one that's literally getting mad over a FaceTime call." He says, "Kenzie, you're the one who got mad." Kenzie says, "Bro, I'm literally done talking to you. Of course, you ruined today." He says, "I hung up because I couldn't hear you. Then you started the fight. I was never mad." Kenzie says, "Because you literally gave me the most dry responses ever, and then you get mad and start an argument." He says, "You can't just be like, 'Okay, I won't be dry.'" She sends a screenshot. She says, "This is your last chance, though. You need to stop or I'm not going with you. Honestly, how you've been talking lately is disgusting. You can either stop now or I'm not going with you." Dom says, "See, you started the problem. I just said okay." She said, "Saying okay is not fixing the problem." She says, "So we're not going together?" He says, "Kenzie, you weren't fixing the problem either." He says, "You said I'm going alone, then told me to go with Blair. You said mean things. I said okay." Kenzie says, "So we are not going together. Last chance." He says, "I'll go when you say sorry." She says, LMAO in caps. "Okay, I'm not going with you. You need effing help." He says, "Sheesh, you can never say sorry." So she says, "Yeah, I'm not going to say sorry to someone who just called me delusional." Dom says, "I said that was an insult. I said that wasn't an insult." Kenzie says, "I'm not going to say sorry to someone that can't take 5 seconds to just understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying sorry to somebody that gives dry responses." Dom says, "Oh, okay." She says, "You literally suck. You literally ruin any big day." Dom says, "So you're mean, but I'm in the wrong because I gave dry responses when you were mean?" Kenzie says, "Like anything I'm excited for, that is kind of planned. You just ruin." Dom says, "So I'm in the wrong when you're mean because I gave a bad response." She says, "I was never mean. You're just always dry as F." He says, "I'm so done. Fine." She says, "You know how excited I was for the fair, and of course you had to ruin it." He says, "You're really messing up. I'll still go to the fair." She says, "No, you're messing up." He says, "When you understand, actually, you didn't even mess up because you don't know that you messed up. You just need help." Kenzie says, "Do you really just want to break up right now? Like, we can do that because you're calling the wrong person delusional. And now I don't need help if anyone needs help with the other way around." Dom says, "And now you're going to hold this over my head when I'm concerned." Kenzie says, "You have way too much on your own plate to be concerned about me." He says, "I'm not calling you names." Kenzie says, "Dumb. I'm really about to." She said, put dumb, but she meant Dom. "I'm really about to be done with you. You are seriously messing up right now. And I told you I'm done with this conversation like 8 times." Dom says, "Kenzie, just calm down and think about this later. You're not being reasonable." She says, "No. Do you want to keep going? Because you're clearly the one who drags this out after I told you to stop like 4 times." She said, "So we can just keep going." "No, I don't even want to effing go with you. Now I have to struggle to effing find someone to go with in less than 2 hours because you just have to ruin everything. I really hope Florida isn't like this." He says, "All I asked was for an apology and I'd go." Kenzie says, "I don't want to go with you," in caps. "I'm asking why you have to effing ruin everything. Do you not have an answer? Answer, bruh." He says, "I don't ruin everything, but fine. Don't go without me." She says, "No, you literally do ruin everything. You literally have to cause a problem before any big event. You can ask my mom, you can ask anyone. You always find a way to effing ruin it last second. Like, what the F is your issue?" Dom says, "I don't have an issue, babe. I didn't have an issue with anything besides that I didn't get an apology." Kenzie says, well, that really sucks because you're never going to effing get one. So you will always have an issue about that. She like sabotages everything, puts it on him, and then she verbally abuses him. She gets her ridiculous, delusional mother, Natalie Shirilla, to agree with her. Like, really, Kenzie, you think your mom is like a prime example of respect and what a relationship should be? Like, from what we've heard and know so far, absolutely not. Sorry, but not sorry. Yeah, yeah, bish. That's right, Cree. Dude, she gets on my nerves. It's always her way or no way, period. Dude, like, how she just degrades him is just disgusting. She really enjoys torturing him, right, country chickens? Let's see. She says, "So you will always have an issue about that." He says, "Why do you keep being mean?" She says, "Why do you cause a huge argument before any big event?" She sends 4 question marks. He says, "Kenzie, you started the argument." She said, "No, mister. Okay, you did. You literally effing suck. Of course you ruined the one thing I'm excited about this summer. I'm not going with you. I'm so effing pissed. Of course you had to ruin the carnival. Like, of course. Being dry like usual." Dom says, "I'll say some prayers for you." She says, "We're done." He says, "You really feel that way?" She says, "I mean, you're effing praying for me, so clearly you feel that way." He says, "Yes, I'm praying for you." That's a nice thing to do for someone. She says, "And lately you've had an incel attitude." What? She's calling him incel. Is Dom incel? Be done, Dom. Be done. I know, Mallory. If we were around, we would not be allowing this. Yeah, I know. It's so bad. It's crazy how things switched up. He was back and forth with her, kind of toyed with her emotions, and now she's abusive narcissist. I know. He's not an incel. No, right? Brian Koberger. Mallory, I know, I know. Yeah, I know. Miriam is saying, no, he's not an incel. She's awful. Just because, like, what? Mallory's like, nah. Does she mean she's so stupid? Okay, let's see. She says, and you have an incel attitude. He said, I don't know why that would make you want to break up with me. She says, because you're it's effing disgusting and weird. I don't need nobody to effing pray for me. That shit's weird as F. I don't like how the F you talk. I don't like how you respond to me. You literally never text me. I always have to text you first. He said, yes, I do. She said, like at Pulp, sit there and watch all the girls flown blow up and mine is just dead. Something is literally mentally wrong with her, you guys. This is so absurd. Wow. She says, "You literally don't even effing text me. All you care about is trapping." He said, "Kenzie, that's my job. Pulp is your job." She said, "If anyone is delusional, it's you. And the fact that you called me that is just a major issue." He says, "I do my job while you do yours. I didn't call you that." She says, "Are you brain dead?" Dom says, "I said you're being delusional about the situation. I was concerned." Kenzie says, I can't handle the incel energy. I'm concerned about you." Dom says, incel? Kenzie says, yes. Question mark, question mark. He says, I don't know what that is. And you wouldn't be mean if you were concerned. Saying I suck and ruin everything isn't helping someone you're concerned about. I don't do that to you, babe. Honestly, I love you, but you have tried to break up with me many times in literally a week. Those other girls' boyfriends are bums. That's why they got all the time in the world. I do everything with you, but okay, break up with me. I'm not going to chase you. If you want to break up with me, then you're just going to break up with me another day, anyways. She said, your attitude needs to go the F away and never come back. So does your incel energy. I don't want to break up with you, but you know how you're talking to me and you know what you're effing doing. Dom says, a member of an online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. Definition of incel. He says, is that what you mean by incel? She says, by incel, I mean a man who dogs women and always has something to by incel, I mean a man who dogs women and always has something to effing say about what women are doing in women's bodies. Kenzie, I don't think that defines the definition of incel. Does it? He just read it to us. Or I just read it to us. She's so dumb. She says it's low key a form of hate towards women. So, yes, you guys, I'm literally speechless. I'm like speechless. 32 times this week. Why didn't he just let her go? You know what I mean? Like, dude, incel means can't get laid. Um, ignoramus. Yes, she made up her own definition. Involuntarily well, Dom can get girls, so I don't know what the hell she's saying. She says it's a low key form of hate towards women. So, yes. Dom says, I don't have anything to say about what they do or their bodies. I only dog men, if you notice. Kenzie says, you always have stuff to say about what I'm doing and what I'm wearing and what I'm posting. Incel. Dom says, because of men, not you. Kenzie says, okay, then effing tell them, not me. I'm gonna wear whatever the F I want, and you're gonna stop telling me that I can't post something or that I'm posting single or that or this. He says, you call me weird. Say I suck. Call me R word. But okay. He says, love you. Bye. She says, all I said was you suck. We're going to find out the only time I called you weird because when you made weird ass comments towards my 15-year-old friend. There we go. That's what I was talking about earlier. I'm like the 15-year-old friend. He says, you insult me all the time. But okay, babe, love you. Bye. She says, you always have something to say about what I'm doing on my body or what I'm posting. He says, love you. Bye. She says, I'm not gonna. She's just always looking to fight. She has like, she's one of those people like she has to fight to feel like secure. And even then, she doesn't feel secure. Like she has to fight. This is a thing every single day, as we have seen, as we've gone through 25 lives of these readings. Every day it's a fight. Like, I don't know how they survived with each other this long. Like, at this point, she says, I'm not going to effing take that response. You need to stop being effing dry. He says, I don't say that because of you at all. You just don't understand, but it's okay. I let it go. She says, ha ha, hold on. I know you didn't just say, quote unquote, I just don't understand. Dom says, I'm not a woman, so I don't understand. You're not a man, so you don't understand. Simple as that. Kenzie says, you're a man and you are never allowed to come in on my body again unless it's saying my body, oh, comment on my body again, unless you're saying my body is beautiful. He says, I don't. I never did. She says, I will tell you when you need to be concerned. That one argument before Mohican. Dom said, like I said, you understand it one way, I understand it another. He says, we're two different people with two different genders. Yeah, remember what I say. And then Kenzie says, yeah, it was effing disgusting. And that's what I'm saying. You're never talking like that to me again. Dom said, I said, whatever you post is the attention you're tracking. And that's not being mean or anything. I was just letting you know. He says, "I don't care at all. I was just letting you know." She says, "Okay, then don't effing say anything if you don't care. I don't need you to tell me shit. Now my whole effing day is ruined. I'm so effing pissed." He said, "You decided that your day is ruined. If anything, my day should be ruined." Kenzie says, "All all because you wouldn't take 3 seconds to understand what I'm saying." He says, "But Imma just go do my thing." "No, you didn't take 3 seconds to text me." She says, "Oh, you are?" He says, "When I have a hearing problem anyways. Your phone is trash and I have a hearing problem. Solution would be text or talk in person, not to try to hear things I can't understand at all. Like, honestly, the way you treat me is terrible. I feel like a punching bag for all of your emotions and always pinning things over my head. I am not my mistakes. I am not defined by my mistakes. I am a person who is only human. Humans make mistakes." That's what Dom said. Wow. Truly so sad. So freaking sad. Quit throwing your body out there like, yeah, I know, Kenzie. Yeah, she did. Dude, she's batshit crazy, says Carrie. She's more than batshit crazy, dude. Way more than that. Okay, let me get a drink. Okay. He says, humans make mistakes. She said, it's not a mistake when it was made over and over. When it was made over and over again. She says, I don't even know why you're talking about that. The only mistake I hold over your head was you cheating on me. And I will never effing forget that. And then she sends 6 question marks. He says, I am not defined by my mistakes. Kenzie says, when did I say you were? And why are we even talking about cheating? Do you have something to tell me or something? Dude, you brought it up, you psycho. You literally just said, I'll never forget when you cheated on me. And she's like, do you have something to tell me? You brought it up. Can the men in here, like, is there any men in here? I'm saying, can you please tell me where's Weddle? What, why would you stay in this relationship? Vice versa, I guess. But like, why would you date Mackenzie? Isn't that what a mistake actually is? Oldest chick in the book, girl. She says, "Do you have something to tell me or something?" He said, "I wasn't talking about it. You brought it up." Mistakes, period. She says, "Why are you talking about your mistakes?" He says, "I'm done, bye." She says, "Okay, cool, Dom. So no carnival?" She still wants to go to the carnival, really? Like, after all of this? She sends 6 more question marks. He says, "You said 10 times I ruined it and you're not going with me. That already hurt my feelings." Kenzie says, "And I'm not hurt? So are we going, yes or no? Yes or no?" He says, "Hurt from what?" Question mark, question mark, question mark. She said, "Yes or no?" He said, "Hurt from what?" She said, "Oh my effing God, is that a no?" He says he questioned his message. "Hurt from what?" He typed it again. "Hurt from what?" She said, "Hurt from your dryness." Who knew my boyfriend would be so effing dry? She says, "So we're not going?" Question mark, question mark. She's sending a ton of question marks, like, individually. He says, "That's what you're hurt by?" He says, question mark. She said, "I'm going with Lincoln." He said, "Okay, love you, babe." She said, "Clearly you don't." He said, "Clearly you don't." He said, "Me? You're the one who tried to break up with me 3 times in the past 10 days. But okay, I guess I say I love you through it all. One day you're gonna lose a good man. Trust me. All these other dudes way worse than me. I mean, way worse. Kenzie says, if I didn't love you, I would have just broken up with you by now. He says, one day. She sends a bunch of question marks. What the F does one day mean? So we're not going? I need to know right now or I'm going to pick up Lincoln. Dude, you just said you were going with Lincoln. Shut the hell up and go, Kenzie. He said, I said I'd go and you said you don't want to go with me. Also, you said I'm never getting an apology. Kenzie said, yes or no. He says, you tell me. She says, I'm asking you. Dom says, I said I'd go for an apology. Kenzie says, I'm not apologizing to you. He said, okay then. She said, so are you going? Yes or no? He says, I really want to go, but I stand for what I stand for. She says, so you're really going to choose to sit at home and do nothing? He says, I mean, I'll go do something, but I'm not just going to let you be mean to me and not give an apology. She says, so we're not going together. He says, you tell me. She says, I'm asking you. If not, I'm just going to go get Lincoln since you want to be like that. He says, I want to go. I just want an apology. She said, it's not happening. So you're going to tell me if we're going together or not. He said, why can't you just apologize? She said, because I'm not going to. I didn't do shit. Dom said, you said mean things. You can just apologize, then we can go. Kenzie said, I'm sorry for saying mean things. Dom said, that's not a good apology. That's dry. Kenzie said, okay. Question mark, question mark. Dom said, okay then. He said, so we're not going. Should I make plans? She said, I guess so, since you don't want to go. He said, I want to go. I just want you to give me an honest apology. She said, you clearly don't want to go. He said, so you don't want to go with me. I want to go with you. Kenzie says, I mean, I wouldn't be asking you repeatedly if you want to go or if I didn't want to go with you. You're the one being stubborn. Dom says, I'm not, babe. I just want an apology. You know what you did. You can apologize like it's not that hard. She said, I already apologized. Take it or leave it. He said, what were the mean things you said? Kenzie said that you suck. Question mark, question mark. This is the shit I'm talking about. Dom said, I'm just asking, so I know that you actually mean the apology. Like, what was the problem with that? So should I make plans? She said, that's up to you. Oh my God. I asked you like 80 times if you're going and you never gave me a response. Dom says, well, in my eyes right now, it looks like we're broken up. She says, how is that? He says, because I guess you meant all that shit. I mean, you didn't say sorry for it. When I ask what you're sorry for, I need you to stop talking to you like that. Kenzie said, of course you're still going when you effing Of course you are still going when you effing stop. You're so insecure for no reason. Um, First of all, Kenzie, stop acting like she's like, I'm breaking up with you. And then he's like, fine, we're broken up. And she's like, no. What's her issue? And why is she saying he's insecure? She's an insecure one. She can't even pick up a damn outfit to go to her stupid ass school. Mallory says he just pulled a Mackenzie. Dude. Hey, Marvin. One day, ticka ticka, I know. One day you're gonna lose a good man. I'm shooketh. I know. How sad, huh? Damn, she even tried to punish him by refusing to break up. I know. Mackenzie says, you're so insecure for no reason. Dom says, does it make you feel better? Kenzie says, I guess I'm picking up Lincoln just when I thought you were finally done. Dom says, I am done. I just wanted an apology. Dom says, I guess I'm single, or at least you want me to be single. Kenzie said, oh, that's what we are? Okay, cool. Try to find another girl like me. You're dumb as F. He says, I mean, I wanted an apology. Try to find another man like me who is committed through everything. Kenzie says, you aren't committed through everything. He says, I have been. She says, and you're the one who just broke up with me. Dom says, you did. I just asked for an apology for it. She says, you are slow. He says, then we can go on with our day. She said, "No, you just effing broke up with me." Dom said, "So you're saying we're done?" Kenzie said, "What the F is wrong with you?" He said, question mark, "You tell me." She says, "Only you know you're the one who just broke up with the only girl you're probably ever going to get." No, Kenzie. Your friends want to get with him. I know, I know. It might actually be difficult to find another girl like Mackenzie. I know. Bree's like, find another girl. Oh no, Alicia, I hope you feel better. I would have saved him. Kenzie, he can find another girl. It's all your friends, girl. All your friends. Okay, so she says, well, you just broke up with the only girl you're probably ever going to get. He says, so we're done. She says, you're the one who just broke up with me. He says, I was implying that because you said that. So tell me. He says, because I'm committed. She said, what the F? What the F you mean you were implying it? You were literally going crazy. Dom says, I'll try forever. I just need you to try too. Um, why is he in love with her when she treats him like that? Do some guys just like to be treated like that? Because what the hell? He's an incel cheater. Duh. She had no idea what an incel is. I know. Sarah, my husband heard the live and I tried to explain this case and I included the Cardi talk and he literally stared at me. Your husband's gonna be like, can you block that Melly girl for reading these? It has to be. I know, right? He says he's literally saying, I'll try forever. And I'm like, dude, she just called you an incel, like try to break up with you, threatening you. Like, I don't get it. Dom says, I just need you to try. She said, you just said it to imply it. Like WTF. You for real need a therapist. He says, I was only saying that I'm single because you said you were done. She questions his message. Dom says, I was saying, I guess I am. Kenzie said, this is your last chance to either say yes or no, we're going. Dom says, because you wouldn't apologize. She said, last effing chance. He said, yes, we're going. She said, last effing chance. He said, just apologize, please. Apologize for the emotional stress. You don't have to hold a breakup over my head to get your way. Thank you. See, he realizes it. Dom realizes that he's dating a narcissist, that she's holding that over his head as a form of manipulation and like gaslighting to some extent. You don't have to hold a breakup over my head to get your way or even threaten it if I do something wrong. She says, you're holding an apology over my head to get your way. Dom says, a problem and a breakup totally different. He says, no, I'm holding I'm holding an apology for you to get your way. I just want to know you're sorry for hurting my feelings. So then you won't do it again. Or at least be sorry and apologize if you do. I'm not going to go to the fair just for you to threaten to break up with me again. That'd be terrible. And you keep saying mean things. I'll go, but I'm not entertaining this shit anymore. Let me know. I'm just going to text you. And if you have a problem, call me because I don't want what I'm saying to get twisted through text and you be mad when you just said, let's just go to the fair. In my head, I feel as if you don't care about my feelings because you're ready to drop everything for you, not me. You're ready to drop everything to go to the fair, not drop everything and say sorry to me. She said, what? He said, Dom said, I'm saying you're willing to drop the argument to go to the fair, but not willing to say sorry to me. Not saying that's how you feel. I'm saying that's how I felt. He says, what are you doing? She said, I'm just tanning right now. He said, I feel it. I'm gonna just go back to sleep then. She said, I can stop. What are you trying to do? He said, it's cool. I've been sleeping anyway. I still need a shower. She said, what time should we go to the fair tonight? He says, I don't care. She said, 5 or 6. He said, probably 6. She said, okay, bet. He said, okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep. She says, "I love you. Good night, little nug." I can't. I can't stand people like Kenzie. It's hard for the hubbies not to hear when you listen while you get ready for work. I know, they probably think we're nuts listening to these, huh? Huh, Jules? Your husband's probably like, "What is wrong with my wife? Why is she listening to this craziness?" The pot calling the kettle. Thank you, Cree. Is it the really good book I wish I read? Yeah, I know, Callista. I got my husband into this shit. He now says, "Come scoop." I thought he just dumped her. Yeah, I thought they broke up, but now they're back together, I guess. So whatever. Like 1.5 seconds later. She says, "I love you. Good night, little nug." Literally at 1:52 p.m. in the middle of the day. She says, "What are you doing?" At 3:28. Four question marks. WTF, dude. He said he was going to sleep. Do you have a brain in there? Like, what's in your head? Like, what is it? A marshmallow? Like, what is in there? She does not think. She says, "WTF?" She says, "I'm gonna get my paycheck from Pulp. Then I'm gonna come to your house, and you have 5 seconds to answer." Oh shit! She's showing up at the house with the belt. That's the kind of vibe she gives off. It's really quite sick in the head. He keeps trying to share genuine emotions and feelings, and she weaponizes again against him at every turn. It's so bad. I hate that pet name. Me too. She says, "You have 5 seconds to answer. When will you be ready?" He says, I just got out the shower real quick." He can't even type shower right. He said SJOER. That's how scared he is of not texting back on time. She says, "Let me know. You ready for scoop?" He says, "Okay, I got you." He says, "I ain't have a towel when I first got out. I was freezing. Had to run and grab one." She says, "I effing hate that." He says, "I'm glad they weren't downstairs. They were in the kitchen." I'm glad they weren't downstairs. They were in the kitchen. Yeah, it's deaf tough. She said, question mark, question mark, dot, dot, dot. "And why would I want to make food with you after we?" She's insane. It's literally 4:48 when he says the towel thing. And then she says at 4:48, "Why would I want to make food with you after you just said F you to me?" So she must have called him. She said, "Okay, so am I leaving?" Oh, wait, what? She said, question mark. He said, "Do you want to hang out again after I eat and shower?" Oh, so she was over there. She said, "So am I leaving?" Oh yeah, because it's in between. So let me go back. She says, "Why would I want to make food with you after you just said F you to me?" That was at 4:48 p.m. She said, "Okay, so am I leaving?" And then he says, "Do you want to hang out after I eat and shower again?" And this is at 5:05 p.m. She said, "Yes. LOL." Is that even a question? Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I jumped to the next day. I'm like, what did we miss? Oops. Not Earth to Melly. Like, can you read? You have your glasses on. No, I can't read. Okay, so at 5:32, she says question mark, and then it goes to the 16th. My bad. At 4:48. She said, "And why would I want to make food with you after you just said F you to me?" She said, "Okay, so am I leaving?" Question mark. He says, "Do you want to just hang out after I shower?" She says, "Yes." She says, "LOL." Is that even a question? He says, "Okay." He says, "Bet." He says, "Yeah, I was only mad and said F you because I kept asking you to let me know when you want to go over so I can grab the eggs. Then you got up and ran outside and said, 'Don't rush me when you're ready,' when all I had to do was grab the eggs for you. I want some good ass food for dinner tonight. You want to make something or go somewhere?" He's literally sending that at 10:12 p.m. They eat dinner at like midnight. I'll eat a snack at midnight, but I'm not eating dinner. Who's eating dinner at midnight? You guys are eating dinner at midnight? Are you gonna scoop? Who's scooping? Did Natalie smoke or drink while pregnant with this little omen? Oh my god. After school special. I thought he was always cheating anyways. Gosh, I hope. Poor Dom. Like, I don't condone cheating, but like with this girl, rug dealers do, says Rebecca. Okay, he says, I want some good ass food for dinner tonight. You want to make some or go somewhere? He said, want to go get the steaks? And then she sends TikToks. He says, hey babe, are you up? She said, I was just about to text you. She says, hi babe. Okay, so wait, let me go back. I think it jumped to the next day. Maybe I'm just confused. Yeah, it does. He says, hey babe, you up? She says, I was just about to text you. She says, hi babe, nuggy. He says, what are you doing, babe? She says, putting baby Gray in the room. He says, you should get a medical card. She says, how? Can I get it now? He says, online. He says, yeah. She says, I thought it was 18 and up. He says, you can only get edibles. She said, no way. He said, 18 and up is shit to smoke. She said, LMAO, send a link. I'll get it. He said, under 18 is edibles and lotion. Kenzie says, and you can just use my days. Dom says, well, only for edibles though, but the edibles will be slap. I don't know what info you need, so not right now, but I'll help you with it later. She says, I'm down. He says, lit, right? She says, what is the late? What is the link? He sends the link. He says, fair tonight? She said, yes. We're taking pictures at the carnival today. You better not be awkward. He says, I'm never awkward unless you're mean. She says, wear your green shorts. He says, they're stained, remember? She said, please, do you have purple? He said, they're stained bad. I'm not wearing them. And I don't think I have any purple. She said, babe, he said, what do you want me to do? She said, you could wear like a green shirt or a purple shirt. Dom says, to be honest, I don't know if I have either of those. She said, you do. He says, I'll have to check. He said, what time do you want to go to the fair? He says, I don't think I have a purple or green shirt. I looked. What kind of green? She said, I'm at my appointment right now. And she sends a picture of herself in the green shirt. He says, what are you wearing over? It's going to be cold. I'll match what you're wearing over that. Can I wear gray shorts and a red shirt? She says, three-way. He says, I'm about to hit a bong. Oh, wait. So it jumps to the evening. So he says, can I wear gray shorts and a red shirt at 5:39 p.m.? And then she says, three-way. He's at 6:36. He says, bet I'm about to hit the bong. I'm ready. She says, okay, be ready. She says, here. She says, babe. He says, okay, hitting the bong, then coming. She says, babe. He says, I'm in line at 6:41. She says, babe. He says, I'm in line for Oreos. It's taking a while. Well, he said, I don't know if he meant Oreos or what. She said, okay, bet. He said, it's taking a while. He said, game was dope. I'll be over in a sec. It was at 11:07 p.m. He says, game was dope. I'll be over in a sec. Check out this home on Airbnb. Oh, he sent her a link about an Airbnb. Okay, and then it jumps to the 18th. She says, do you want to do flies tonight? He said, might be down. Kind of want to try something new. She said, I'm going to get my phone fixed. He said, bet. At 5:22, he said, what's up, babe? She says, my mom is getting stuff for mozzarella sticks. You need to bring the blades from the blender. He says, okay, I'll look. She said, about to be home. Want to do it now? At 6:20, he says, I'm about to shower, then I will. She says, bet. Let me know when we should take out these steaks. He said, they should already be out. My mom made ribs. I'm about to try those real quick, then come. She says, are you even going to eat the steak? He said, yeah, why? She said, it's been 20 minutes since you said you were going to come. He says, I'm here at 8:05 p.m. And then it jumps to the next day at 11:34 a.m. I can't believe they tell each other what to wear. Dude, they're so young. Hey, Evie, good to see you, love. They had to get along in person because the messages are brutal. Dom seems very insecure deep down, even though he hides it. I think that's why he stayed so long. Who just said hi to me? I missed it. Oh, yeah, it was you. Hi, Evie. Hi, Valerie. You know, if I was dating her, I would break up with her. Dude, this is so bad. Shit, I've been in a toxic relationship. Nothing close to this, but like I couldn't even deal with it as an adult. Like, yeah, no. Wonder if her issues are self-inflicted with her stomach stuff. Yeah, I'm curious about that. Stomach stuff she has going on. Okay, so on the 19th, she says 11:34 p.m. Hi, babe. He says, I was literally just about to text you. You working yet, babe? She says, I'm there. He says, how's it going, babe? Definitely need to get to Cedar Point soon, or the zoo. He says, well, both and soon. She said, OMG, yes. He said, when should we go, babe? She said, not tomorrow, but the next day. Or do you still want to drive somewhere? He said, I'll drive to Myrtle, but we got to plan how much it is, and you might have to help because I have to buy this computer and all this stuff. She said, well, we are kind of like Captain Planet now and leave by tomorrow at 4 o'clock. He said, what? He said, did you get fired? She said, yes. At 2:04 p.m., he says, did you get fired? And she said, yes. He said, how? Let me know what's up, babe. She got fired from Pulp. Hey, abuelitas. He said the zoo. He's taking her home for celebrities. That's funny. Fired again, dude. She can't keep a job. Not even at the like Pulp, which is like Jamba Juice, right? Okay, so this is what she said. So someone left her a review, and that's why she got fired. This is the review. It says, Your store, Strongsville. Subject, terrible experience. The comment, the review, whatever you call it. It says, Hi, I just want to start out this message stating that I visit all often, mostly the Medina store. Great experience there. I was in Strongsville doing some shopping, so I stopped in at Pulp to get a smoothie. The girl making my smoothie has very long fingernails, not okay to have in this service. And literally, her butt was showing from her shorts. She kept pulling at her shorts because they were so short while making my smoothie. I couldn't even drink it, thinking of all the things that were on her hands under her fake fingernails. I'm not one to complain, but that was absolutely repulsive. As she was making my smoothie, she kept adding water and pineapple juice to thin it out, which is not what the Medina store does. I'm never going back to this Pulp, and I have told my many friends and family to stay away from the unsanitary conditions at the store. Like I said, I'm not good to be writing a message or complain, but this is completely uncalled for. That's like what someone left on the Yelp or something. She said, Cedar Point, babe. He says, today? She said, yeah. He said, I'm supposed to link with Jared later. She said, well, is that a yes or no? She says, it would be me linking you and her boyfriend. Dom says, I'd rather go tomorrow because I'm bringing him shit. Also, I got a call with this company at 3:30. She said, so no. Dom said, I mean, are you set on going today? You don't want to go a different day? Because I don't want to have to get ready because I got this call. She says, meant to call my mom. She says, Nuggy babe. He says, Nuggy Nuggy. She says, love you, Nuggy babe. He says, did you get lobster bisque, babe? I honestly want some really bad. She said, I'm on the way there right now. She says, Dom says, can I have some? She said, yes. She says, do you want your own or do you want to share with? He says, are you going to eat it all? Dom says, because I can just wait till you're done and eat what you don't. Kenzie says, I don't know. Dom says, because don't you usually not eat it all? She said, okay, babe. I know you guys are talking about her getting fired. I was dying to laugh throughout me continuing. I don't know why. That's absolutely sick. Sarah's like, "No, no, I don't want no long ass fingernails." But you guys know how long hers are. They're like so long. That lady that left the review is an incel. I really know how to process. Sarah's like, I really don't know how to process that complaint. Isn't that on the manager though? It is. I think it's hilarious. They're like her butt cheeks were hanging out. Mandy says, I had to fire a girl from Subway for the same exact reason. Her butt cheeks were hanging out. Dude, you know, toilet paper don't cover all of that. Ew. Yeah, what if a nail Stop it right now. It's cracking me up. I'm just appalled. Oh my god. I'm cracking up. Yeah, like, definitely not in healthcare, man. Like, when I was working in big pharma, they were not. They were like, "Nails?" Like, I couldn't even go to the interview with nails because I felt like they would be like, "What?" Her nails look goofy as hell. She tries to be Cardi B. She wants to be Cardi B, you know? I get that vibe. Abuelita says, "Oh my god, I had not heard this, mija. I've been here with the chancla the whole time. Hands busy." Her cheeks were hanging out of her shorts. That's no part of the uniform. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay. She says, "Okay, babe." She says, "I love you" at 4:18 PM. She says, "Come over after." She says, "Nuggum." I don't like that name. He says, I have to sneeze. Oh, it just went away. He said, "After what?" She says, "After I get it." He says, "Call with company went good too." She said, "OMG." He said, "It's just really expensive." She said, "That's so good. How much?" He said, "Minimum order is like 9,000." She said, "OMG. Damn. We can do it." He says, "Yeah, I know, right? When are you going to be back, babe?" She says, "I'm on the way there." He says, "Oh, okay, babe." He says, "I'm gonna hop in the shower real quick." He says, "I love you." She says, "I love you, Nuggy." And then at 6:03 yeah, 6:03 she says, "Babe." He says, "Plans tomorrow?" He says, "I got to go to the micro center." He says, "Babe." She says, "Yes." "What's that?" He says, "What you want to do?" "Computer place." She says, "What?" He says, "I'm going to the computer place in the morning." She says, "Where?" And then she sends some TikTok links. She said, "Why are you not texting me at 10:02 PM?" She said, "It's been like 3 hours." He said, "My bad, we were shooting pew pews, then I drove home. I was just thinking about you." She said, "Oh, makes sense why I've been ignored for 3 hours." He says, "I didn't know you texted." And it was a TikTok. The computer place is in Mayfield. And then it goes to the next morning. He says, "Love you, babe. Good morning," on the 20th at 5:33 AM. She says, "I love you." He says, "Love you so much, Nug." She says, "Are you mad?" During lunchtime, during midday, 12:07 PM. He says, "No, why?" She says, "You just sped off, so I thought you were mad." "I got you something." He said, "Bet." He said, "From where?" She said, "I don't know. Come." He says, "Where?" She said, "My house." She says, "Do you want to go to Cedar Point for the night?" She says, "Babe, babe." He says, "I don't really have time" at 6:02 PM. She says, "Please, can we go?" He said, "Snitzer is building this computer right now. How late does it close?" She said, "I don't know, 11 or 10. I want to go like now." He said, "It's going to take him like an hour to build it." He says, "Vacate August 26th to September 2nd?" Question mark. She said, "Sure, where?" He said, "I don't know, it's with my family." Wow. And they still took her annoying, disgustingly disrespectful ass on the family trip. Blows my mind. Literally blowing my mind. Yeah, I know. Did he get her a pair of shorts that covers her ass? No. He says, "I don't know, it's with my family. Wanna sell Phil dabs?" She says, "I just got done washing my hair. I really need a job, babe." Dom says, "Well, see sell Phil these dabs, you'll make money." She said, "How much?" He said, 25. She said, "Fine, I'll do it." He says, "Bet, come through." He says, "Bring what you got me." She says, "I'll be at your house in 1 second." He says, "You guys can just go." Wait, so she says, yeah, he says, "You guys can just go" at 7:06 PM. He says, "Actually, never mind, I'll come." She says, "Here, come." She says, "Dom, hurry." Dom. She says, "WTF?" He said, "I missed the end of finals." Sad face. At 2:46 AM. She says, "Oh no." Then at 10:41 the next day, he says, "Good morning, babe." She says, "Hi, my nugget, babe." He says, "What are you doing, babe?" She said, "Just laying in bed right now." He says, "I got you." He says, "I'm trying to make some money." She said, "When?" He said, "Right now." She said, "Oh, okay, babe. Send me pics of your face. I want to see you." She said, "Cedar Point?" Question mark. He says, "I don't know about today. It's already 6 again because it's 6:03 PM at this point." She says, I'm home." Oh, she says, "On the way home." He says, "Okay." He says, yeah, he said, wait, let me go back. She says, "On the way home." He says, "Okay," at 6:17 PM. He says, "Love you too." She says, okay, then the next morning it goes to 2:03 PM. She says, "Babe, what are you doing?" He says, "Laundry, cleaning and stuff." She says, "I'm hungry. I don't know what to eat." He says, "Want me to come make you some eggs?" She said, "I don't know if I want eggs." Dom says, "You're not always gonna want something though. Like most mornings, I don't have an appetite at all. That's when I eat granola and fruit. Just try and eat something healthy till you have an appetite." She said, "I don't know." He said, "What don't you know about that?" He says, "Here." Okay, so that was at 2:12 PM. Oh, that was kind of nice. He's like, "Do you want me to make you eggs?" And then he says at 6:14, he says, "Here." She says, "If you join or return the Pokemon Go using my referral code, you'll instantly get 10 Pokeballs." What? Oh, she's sending like Pokemon links. She said, "Can you please just hurry?" At 10:46 PM. He says, "Yeah, I'm just brushing my teeth and grabbing tree." She says, "I need tree." He says, "Okay." She says, "What happened this" wait. So he said, let me go back. The dates, I skipped a day. So he says, "Yeah, I'm just brushing my teeth and grabbing weed." I have to sneeze. That was at 10:47 PM on the 22nd. Hold on, I have to sneeze. She sent a link. Pokemon Go, I think. Sorry, I didn't want to sneeze in your guys' face. He says, "Yeah, I'm just brushing my teeth and grabbing weed." That was at 10:47 PM, and then it jumps to the next day. At 9:48 AM, she says, "I need a tree." He says, "Okay." She says, "What happened this morning?" He said, "What do you mean?" "I had to go home for them to turn on my gas." Kenzie says, "Oh." Dom said, "What's up with you, babe?" She said, "I just woke up. It's 10:30 AM now." He said, "My mom is gonna show you what to do after 12, I think." Kenzie says, "When?" He says, "After 12." She said, "Kyle and Kristen are coming tonight." He said, "LOL, sure." Kenzie said, "Maybe if they decide to show up." Kristen was into it though. Dom says, "That's what I was gonna say." Kenzie says, "Are you coming with me?" "What are you doing?" "Text me when you're out the shower." "Are you out?" He said, "Just got out." She said, "I'ma come now." He said, "I showered at my mom's." Kenzie said, "Okay." He said, I'll be back next door in a sec." She said, "Where are you at?" He said, "I'm in my room." "Where are you?" She sends a screenshot. She says, "I am DIA. I am DIA already noticed us." I don't know what that means. She says, "Babe." She says, "WTF, answer." WTF. How the F are you going to spam me and then ignore me? I was on the phone with your effing mom. What the F? She says August 22nd through the 28th. He said, yeah, the vacation is 825 per person. I'm not even going to go. Kenzie said, well, now she's going to be mad at me because you're not going. Dom says, I'm just going to tell her I want to be home. Kenzie says, our vacation is too expensive. That doesn't really make any sense. Like, what is her issue with me? She sends a bunch of question marks. So in 2021, Miss Rousseau still didn't like her. Yeah. Are we surprised? No. No, I'm not. I miss them playing chess. Nope. Now it's Pokemon Go. Hey, Swifty. Bless you. Thank you, Cree Babe. She says, I don't think she has an issue with you. Dom says that about his mom. Kenzie says, I'm pretty sure there's an issue when she's ignored me multiple times and has now planned me out of the family vacation. Like WTF. I mean, if I was going to go to the first vacation, why wouldn't I go to the second? He says, I don't know, babe. I don't see why there would be an issue when she wants you to be her secretary. She said, bruh. Oh, so Miss Russo wanted to give her a job. Huh. So did you like her or not, Miss Russo? I'm curious. At this point in time. She says, bruh, there's obviously an issue, WTF. And then she sends 8 question marks and then 5 question marks. He says, I don't think so. Kenzie says, okay, stop pushing it over your shoulders. There's an effing issue. He said, do you want me to go ask Angelo? Kenzie says, how don't you effing know? Dom said, she's never had an issue with you before. And what would make her have an issue with you? Kenzie said, I mean, she just planned a whole effing vacation excluding me and literally asked me to watch the effing cat while you guys are on vacation. Dom said, the vacation was open invite. And I think besides my mom, it's all Angelo's friends and they're not even enough space. So maybe that's why she intended that. Because Angelo was talking about sharing beds. I'm not trying to be all crammed with everyone else for a week anyway. I'm going to just stay home. Kenzie said, so Angelo's friends are before me? Dude, I don't even care. I'm so fed up with this shit. Dom says, they all planned it, not me. Kenzie says, my mom didn't effing price how our vacation is effing expensive and she's paying for you. Dom says, or my mom even. Kenzie says, okay, cool. Dom says, maybe Angelo thought you weren't going. Kenzie said, I'm just going to watch the cats. Dom said, see, he just told her that. I'm not even going. Kenzie says, why wouldn't I go? Question mark, question mark. And then more question marks and exclamations. He says, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really tell him. I told my mom or him when we were just trying to go in July. Kenzie said, stop with the effing bullshit. Dom said, it's not bullshit. I'm not even going. Kenzie said, no, that was like so effing disrespectful. Like I was down to go in July. Why the F would I be down to go to the vacation? Dom said, I'm disrespectful. Kenzie said, no, the situation. Kenzie said, so you're not going on vacation? Because like now I'm in a bad effing mood. Like what the F? Dom says, yeah, I'm not going. Kenzie says, I can't believe they just didn't invite me. Dom said, it's probably my fault. I should have made it clear. I don't even know what they booked and I didn't want to share rooms with other people anyway. When are we going to the zoo? She says 6:30. Dom says, bet. Leaving at 6:30? She said 6. She said, okay. He said, okay, bet. He said, do you want to roll anything up? He said, and can you drive? I'm out of gas. Like out. She said, yes. He said, bet. She said, roll up. Yes to both. She said, we're picking up Faith. Yes. He said, I bet. She said, I'm picking up food now. He said, from where? Get me something. She said, I'm getting Faith now. He said, oh, LOL. He said, I'm rolling this wood real quick. She said, text Dom, I'm here. WTF, hurry up. He said, Dom said, my mom said she didn't know you wanted to go. She said she thought it was an all boys trip and thought you had school. Kenzie says, period. He said, she said we can go. I said, maybe. Kenzie said, I don't know. You just go. Dom said, I don't really care. Kenzie says, can you drop me off some weed? Oh, so that was on the 20. Wait. It went to the next day. So it was the 23rd and now it's the 24th. He said, my mom said, you can go. That was on the 24th. She said, you just go. He said, I don't really care. She said, can you just drop me off some weed? He said, yeah, at 3:49 p.m. He said, let me get dressed. I'll be on the way. She says, go on vacation with your family. You're also not coming with my family. Like, I'm seriously done. I do not want to see you. At 4:49 p.m. He says, if you're done over that small inconvenience, then okay, fine. So be it. Kenzie says, okay, Mr. Gaslighter, I don't need you to tell me what's big or small. You can figure out your own way to the graduation party tonight. Like, I'm seriously done. Dom said, why are you done? Because I didn't give you free weed. Like, I don't do anything. You said you're not going to do anything for me. So I said, okay, I won't do anything for you. Kenzie says, no, you actually come over already crazy mad and I can hear in your tone, then try to say I yelled at you when I never did. I was just asking you a question, saying it louder because you always complain about my phone breaking up. You need some effing help. He says, okay, you should have made that more clear before it started an argument. This is on the 24th at 5 p.m. He said, we should just stop talking on the phone then, because I thought you were raising your voice at me because I forgot the weed. You didn't say it was because I couldn't hear you. Then you hung up on me. So I assumed you meant disrespect. Mackenzie says, no, I don't give an F. He said, okay then. She said, don't try to fix yourself now. Like, literally, what the F? How am I supposed to want to effing be with you tonight? He says, what do you mean? I don't have to fix anything. It was a misunderstanding. You should have told me it was because I couldn't hear you. She said, bruh, no. He said, it sounded like you were angry at me. Kenzie said, maybe if you just listened for 1 second and closed your mouth, you would hear what I was saying, but you don't effing stop. I'm so effing fed up with this shit. I'm going to give you one more chance to give me weed or there's going to be issues. Every time they're going to do something, she does this. And like, what? Why does he have to give you free rugs? I honestly, it's getting to the point of where I'm like, wow, like something really must have happened to set her off and want to just like finally decide to end his life that night. Like, I truly don't believe that was an accident. I mean, I know none of us really thought that, but like, I try to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I try to look at it from a different perspective, but now I'm like seeing this. I feel like, yeah, she probably was like, F you, Dom. You think I'm playing? And like crash that car. You know what I mean? Like, this is so manipulative and mean and disgusting. Miss Russo didn't want to take her because the way she acted on the rafting trip. Yeah, abuelitas, who would want to take her anyways? She's a psychopath. I hope he leaves and gets a break from her. Melanie, I said the same thing earlier. Yeah, Sarah, it's just like, I don't understand this. I'm shook. She says, I'll give you one more chance to give me weed or there's going to be issues. She's threatening him over the weed. He says, really? He says, you weren't perfect at handling it either. She said, okay, and you do it again. He said, do what? She said, find your own ride tonight. He said, I was going to give you weed. But you said, quote unquote, I'm just going to stop doing anything for you. Dom says, that didn't make me feel appreciated when I'm giving you free weed. She said, also, do I need to do stuff for you to be nice? You really just trying to push me the F away, aren't you? Dom says, that's what it seems you're trying to do. She says, it actually seems like all you know how to effing do is repeat what I said because clearly you never had a mind of your effing own. Maybe when you can actually formulate a sentence yourself and just repeat what I said last, I'll take this effing conversation seriously. He said, WTF, see, I don't say anything mean. You just purposely try to say hurtful things. You say that. Say I'm not going on vacation with you. Say you're not going to do anything for me anymore. Like what? You said you were going to break up with me too. Like that's all verbally abusive. When you want to fix this on both ends, let me know. Kenzie says, I'm allowed to say how I feel, and if you don't like that, then that sucks. Why would I want to go on vacation with someone that can't even give me one free gram of weed? He says, I do all the time. I give you way more than that. I was going to give you 5 free grams. She said, too bad because I don't want your whack ass weed anymore. I never want it again. He said, so we're done over that. Is there someone else? She's acting like this. And he's like, is there someone else? Because she's acting so insane. Hey, Ruth. Wow. He said, is there someone else? She said, like, you literally got me thinking about quitting weed. He said, shit affects people differently. I want to smoke less. I don't want to quit though. She says, no, you literally make me want to effing quit. He says, why? She said, LMAO, I'm done. Literally just stop. He says, okay. She said, what happened to you? He said, what happened to you? Because he said, how do I know you were so uncreative when you were just going to repeat the same thing I said? He said, no, really. Kenzie says, so do you really want to try that again and answer my question? Dom says, I'm me. Kenzie says, you are not. He says, I feel like you're different. What's different about me? Kenzie says, yes, I am. I know my worth now. What? Sorry, I had to sneeze again. I feel sorry for them too. Yeah, I do. Know your worth. Your worth makes you want to be an abusive female. That's crazy. Your worth is very low then. Shit. She said, that's what's effing different about me. If that's an effing problem, I don't care. Maybe that's your whole entire personality. I like you literally used to be the life of the party, and now you're just so awkward and quiet. Like, I don't think you were pulling bitches with the awkwardness you give off now. Does that answer your question? She's evil. He said, so I'm awkward. Yeah, honestly, I can fix that pretty easily. Honestly, a lot of it is now probably just stress and a lack of confidence, but I can fix that. She said, it's more than just that. Dom said, so are you trying to break up with me? Like, what's going on? She said, do you know when to like shut up? I would have broken up with you when I was in your effing driveway if I wanted to break up with you. He says, okay, tell me more about it then. She said, you just used to be a completely different person and now you're just boring. Like all the fun left your soul. He says, well, I feel like you're different too. You used to be way more easy to enjoy things. Now you're always on the edge. You always look at the bad side of things. She says, on the edge of what? Dom says, like, you're always so hostile now. And you don't seem like you even like me anymore either. You used to be way more all over me. Now it just seems like it's bland. Kenzie says, I'm going at 6:30. He says, okay, so you're not picking me up? She says, I'm telling you to see if you're going to be ready to go by then. Always trying to start an argument. Dom says, you said I'm not. But okay, bet. I'll be ready. He says, should I bring the weed and liquor? Let me know ASAP. She said, sure. Do I have to pay for it? She says, here at 6:36 p.m. He says, one sec. He said, so no CP. Okay, so then it jumps to the next day. At 6:37 p.m., he says, one sec. So then the next day he says, so no Cedar Point or anything today? She says, I'm going with Faith. He says, oh, okay. He says, no wonder I'm not fun anymore. I'm always depressed AF. Kenzie said, what's the thing you always say to me when I say that? You speak your truth or some shit like that? Dom says, you probe what you believe. Kenzie says, like this morning was because of you. You started the argument. We could have gone to Cedar Point and had a good time. He said, Kenzie, you do that to me every day. She says, it was just unnecessary as F for you to do that. Like, I'm finally cuddling you for the first time in a while. Why would you say that and cause an argument? Dom says, why do you think I always storm home? Kenzie says, literally ask anybody when I first wake up in the morning. I just want to go on my phone. It's the effing morning. Obviously, you're storming home mad. I can effing tell. Dom says, okay, so before I started ignoring you, do you remember what I was trying to talk to you about? And then you just showed me a TikTok and didn't say anything. Well, if you remember, that's why I got mad and decided to be dry. I just thought you would think about it more if I did it back to you. Well, let me know if you want to work it out. She says, I'm going to bring you something from Cedar Point at 1:55 p.m. He says, bet. He says, I'm getting my four-wheeler going. She said, I'm going to bring you fried cheese. He said, okay, bet. He says, do you think it'll be good when you come back? She said, I don't know. Do you want something else? She said, question mark. He says, what else is there? Probably just cheese. He said, how is Cedar Point at 6:52 p.m.? She said, the cheese looks really good. I want to take a bite out of it. She says, Dom. He says, yeah, you can, babe. She said, can we make fried cheese tonight? She says, we need the cheese and batter. He says, yeah, bet. He says, when are you going to be back? She says, will you go get the stuff? And it's 9:20 p.m. She said, dude, my phone is seriously effed. My SIM card just literally stopped working. Dom says, oh shit. Try taking it out and put it back in. Kenzie said, I did. It's working now, but my phone is super effed. Are you going to eat your cheese? She says, okay. And then she sends 4 question marks. He says, yeah, I'll eat it unless you want it. She questioned the question marks. He says, do you still want to make that cheese? What do we even need? He said, ask your mom because she made those corn dogs. Kenzie said, it's just pancake batter and Swiss cheese, I think. He said, it's not pancake batter. She said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, it won't stick. She said, then what is it? He said, I don't know. She said, cake batter. Dom says, ask your mom. She said, so can I eat the cheese? And I'll ask her. He said, yes, of course you can eat the cheese, babe. Dom says, does she know what to put in it? He says, I'm looking it up. She says, oh my, I'm sorry. Dom says, what did your mom say? Kenzie says, I'm falling asleep at 10:29 p.m. He says, okay, you just want to do it tomorrow then? She says, yes, tomorrow morning. He says, no, not in the morning. He says, you mean the cheese? I don't want that for breakfast. She said, it is. He says, we'll do dinner. And then he sends a smiley. He says, good morning, babe, the next morning. He said, you posted on IG and Snap without saying good morning back. Oh my God. Dom is acting like Kenzie. Dom is acting like Kenzie. Seriously. It's like the roles really have been reversed. She knows her worth because she's selling that no square to some dirty old men. I know, Swifty. Fried cheese does sound good. Abuelitas is like psychopath. Oh, Ali Walto, I'm sorry to hear that. I really think Mackenzie is histrionic. I bet she had to have the latest and greatest phones, always making her parents get her for nothing. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Elysia. He says, you posted on IG and Snap without saying good morning back. She says, hi, babe. I didn't see you texted me at 11:25 a.m. And we know that if the roles were reversed, she would be freaking out. She would be like, you didn't text me back in 2 seconds. You're cheating on me, like, and she's like, oh, I didn't see you texted me. I feel like she's interested in someone else here. I wonder if at this point she was already doing her nasty stuff online on Snapchat, selling her kitty and stuff. She says, I didn't see you texted me because allegedly she was like selling pics or something. I don't really know. Whatever. She said, what's up, Nugget? He said, oh, okay. He said, Miss Active on socials. Kenzie says, why didn't you answer in 1 second? LOL. I wanted to post on my Instagram story about my birthday. I lost track of time. Dom says, I'm sorry, I should have. She said, yeah, you effing suck. I can't believe you. He says, I tried my best. He says, it took me like 20 seconds to answer. He says, I'll get there. She said, doesn't look like he tried very hard. Dom says, I don't try hard, but my DICK stay hard. What? He says, it's soft right now. Kenzie said, little squishy. She says, nug. He says, stop. He said, sup, Nuggum. She said, "No." He said, "What?" "No, what?" "Could I go to Cali with Bradbury?" Kenzie says, "Without me?" "I thought you said no." Dom says, "Yeah, it would only be like for 3 days though." She said, "Still." Dom says, "I'll bring you another time, but I'm just gonna be chilling with Bradbury the whole time." She says, "Sad face." He said, "Okay, flights are shitty for this week, so we're probably not going." "When are we going on vacation?" "Okay, never mind. Flight tonight and coming back Thursday." "Don't be sad. I'm getting you a surprise." He says, "Baby?" He says, "Kissy. When you're done, let me know. I wanna see you." "Babe, what are you doing? I wanna see you. And I'm hungry." She says, "Just got done." He said, "Snitzer's finishing up my computer. You wanna get pizza?" She says, "Yeah, where?" He says, "Ohio Pie or something." She says, "I don't know." He says, "Where do you want it from?" She said, "Angelo's." He said, "Okay, babe." He said, "I'm waiting for Snitzer to be done, then we can go, unless you wanna go grab it." She says, "I can go get it, but you can order it, and I need money." She says, "I wanna eat it with you." He says, "We might be able to DoorDash it." He says, "I got you. I'll order it in a sec." He said, "Do you want deep dish or regular?" She said, "Regular, light on the sauce, extra cheese." She says, "Here, please bring me a water, babe." She says, "Here, babe." He says, "I was confused. I didn't know if I should hang up." At 8:31 PM, he says, "Sorry, babe. Love you so much. Sorry, I got really bad anxiety and had to run home. Text back, babe, before I get on flight." Oh, wow. So he is going out to California that night. That's crazy. Wait, who are you guys telling to calm down? How dare I know, right? Okay, she says, "So I'm shook. He actually like left for 3 days." He says, "Text back, babe, before I get on flight." She says, "I love you, babe," at 9:32 PM. She says, "Have a safe flight. I hope you have a good time. Don't have anxiety, babe. You're gonna have a good time." Dom says, "I'm sorry I left super soon. I should have gave you another big hug and kiss." She said, "It's okay. You were in a rush. Are you at the airport yet? Also, tell me what flight you're on." And he sends the flight information. He says, "Yeah, we gotta get on the plane in a couple minutes." She said, "The flight leaves at 11." He said, "Bradbury said we got aboard in 20, and that was like 10 minutes ago." He says, "Oh, never mind." She said, "I'm sad that you're late." He says, "We board at 10:13." She says, "Leaving." He said, "It's okay, babe. It's only 2 days. Next time when me and you go, it'll be way doper. Plus, then I can afford to get you a nice present here." Kenzie said, "There's Vivian Westwood. They're at Skims. There's so much cool shit there. I'm jealous. I want to go with you." Dom says, "You'll come next time." Kenzie says, "Let me know when you're getting out the plane." Dom says, "I will." He says, "I'll let you know before I lose reception." She said, "Okay, babes." He said, "Love you." She said, "Love you too, babe." He said, "Babe, my phone is only at 47% and needs to charge. LOL." She says, "Do you have a portable charger or a charger?" He says, "No." He says, "I'm charging it right now." He says, "On the seat, but we board in a sec." He says, "I'm literally in section 4, so I'll board last." Not last, actually. I think there's more sections. Kenzie says, "What kind of food do they have on the plane?" She said, "FaceTime?" He said, "FaceTime right now?" He said, "I don't know if they got anything." He said, "I bought snacks." She said, "Yes." She said, "WTF?" He said, "It was breaking up way too much. I'm sorry. It was quiet too." She said, "And of course, there's just a baby crying next," which is what I was trying to say like 8 times. Dom said, "Oh, yeah, for real. There's barely any seats, so I'm trying to charge my phone." He said, "Pretty gas." Or pretty gay. She said, "There's no seats on the plane?" "Oh, never mind." He says, "No, we're not on the plane." He says, "Yeah, no chargers on the plane though. So I gotta charge it now." She said, "Oh, for real?" He said, "Also, plane's fully booked and I'm stuck with the middle seat. Shit is tough." She said, oh God. He said, I'm in between two people I don't know. She said, WTF. He said, yeah, right? She said, I'm going to need to know if it's a girl. Dom says, couldn't get the seat next to Bradbury. It probably won't be anyone to worry about. I haven't seen anyone that is attractive at all. It's mostly weird looking people. Kenzie says, didn't you pay for a seat? Dom says, not sure. I'll get refunded though. I'll figure it out. Kenzie says, weird. What time do you think you'll get on? Dom says, I don't know. Should be really soon. She says, OMG. He says, I know, right? She says, I have anxiety. I'm sad I can't go. He said, that's why we gotta be rich. I'm gonna get you a dope ass present though. She says, we're going to be rich as fuck, babe. He says, we will, babe. Then we can go do what we want. We're about to be on in a sec. She said, OMG. He said, they're sterilizing the plane. They're starting the plane. She says, OMG. He says, what, babe? She says, I miss you. He says, me too. He says, I'll see you soon. He says, we both have separation anxiety, LMAO. He says, it's okay, babe. I'll see you Friday, right in the morning. He says, love you, Nug. He says, still haven't gotten on the plane. Wow. She says, no way. She says, love you too, babe. He said, yeah, they got to start letting us on any second. She said, OMG. He says, yeah, I'll let you know. She says, you on? He says, nope. He says, pretty fried. She said, weird. He said, yeah, at least my phone is over 70 now. She said, true. She said, what's even happening right now? He says, I'm sitting down doing nothing, waiting for my phone to charge. She sends TikToks to him. He says, damn, WTF. She says, like, WTF. I don't know. Like, where is even that? Where even is that? Does one warehouse ship all Chick-fil-A's? He says, I don't know, def not. She said, are you on, babe? And she says, babe. He said, nope, still not on. She says, WTF, it's 11:18 p.m. She says, now? He says, nope, canceled. She says, WTF. Dom says, till 11 a.m. Kenzie says, so what now? WTF. Do you just like sleep at the airport? Or are you going to come back here and sleep with me? He says, come back. She said, yay. He said, right? She said, lock the door behind you when you get here then. She said, babe. He said, okay, babe. And then it goes to the next morning. She says, beach at 1 at 11:07 a.m. He said, what beach with who? She said, Huntington with Grace and Faith. He said, I bet. She said, scooping soon. He said, I'm just leaving Guitar Center. So he didn't go on the trip then. He says, okay, about to be home. He says, what's your ETA? She says, on the way. He says, from where? He says, I'm not ready. Go without me. She says, WTF. He said, bruh, my bad. I'm stressed out and mad. She said, why? You don't need to be mean to me. You can talk to me. Dom said, well, I was trying to call you and you wouldn't answer. Kenzie said, well, I was pumping gas. I'm sorry. I was not inside of my car. Just come out now because Faith is already there. Dom says, I don't have woods or weed or anything ready. Kenzie says, you can just roll everything there. Dom says, what are we even going to do? Sit on a towel for 3 hours? I don't have woods. I need to get some or find some. Kenzie says, OMG, then we don't need to smoke a wood. She says, I'm really just confused why we aren't getting ready when I told you I would be ready at 1. Dom said, because I was spending $5K on studio equipment. Now I'm still not getting ready. I've been texting. She says, WTF, how long is this going to take? She said, bruh. He says, I'm getting ready at 1:41 p.m. She said, okay, I'm going to go to my house and get the portable charger real quick. Text me when you're ready to not take longer because I'm doing this because this will literally take me for a second. Like, she's literally there in the parking lot and you're just taking forever. And now I'm a bad friend. Dom says, get me a Band-Aid. My finger won't stop bleeding. She said, bruh, I'm going to be at your house in 1 second. You better come out. She says, here. She says, bruh, with 10 question marks. She said, please come outside. OMG, you have 3 minutes to come or I'm leaving. WTF, where are you at? He said, I'm about to come. She said, Dom. He said, how long will you be at your facial? Oh, it jumps to the next day. So she says, Dom at 10:44 p.m. And then it jumps to the next day on the 28th at 10:26. She says, how long will you be at Dom says, how long will you be at your facial? She says, an hour, I think. He says, okay, bet, just trying to plan. She says, I'm about to clean my bong for you. He says, yay, let's smoke. She said, I was about to hit my phone and do a nail myself. I can do a nail on you. Come over. He said, I got to do a sale though, I think. She said, Faith wants me to drop off a cart to her, then tan with her. LOL. Dom says, you can do that later. You got to hang with me. She says, Nugget. She says, come over and let me do your nails. He says, okay, let me stop somewhere. I'll be over after. He says, here. He says, hey, babe, I'm really hungry. So we go real quick so I can come back and get food. Also, we're meeting Jared there. She said, that's a trippy right concert. She says, Blossom. He says, when? I don't know. That's a typo. She sends a screenshot. She says, please. He said, September, bet. I thought tonight I was going to be sad. Kenzie says, we really need to buy tickets. He said, we will ASAP. She sends tickets, the link for the tickets. He said, let me know when you're coming back. She said, on the way back. He said, bet. He said, how should I get all of these blackheads out of my face at 3:27 p.m.? She said, it was funny. I was just talking to my facial lady about you, and she said you should go to her. Dom said, my skin has never been bad, though, ever. Like, I don't know what's going on. He says, you home? She says, bring me carts when you come back over. He says, I will. She says, I love you at 8:48 p.m. He says, I love you too, babe. He says, I didn't get the porty. She said, it's okay, babe. You can just get one there. It's going to be all right. He says, I did. He says, and I got a charger. She says, where are you at? He says, at the airport. Oh, so he is going. He just had to book a different flight. Pills? I know. I don't think they said what the trip was for. I know. He said it was 2 days. You see how her parents did not want to deal with her arse. I feel a fight coming. I know, me too. I feel like they're gonna fight when he's like in California. The Ohio government can only afford to take away so many kids. There simply was no room for Kenzie. Says First Liberties. He says airport at 9:45 p.m. She said, how's it going? He said, good. He said, I'm gonna text you before I get on. She says, I literally just had a panic attack and thought I forgot to text you. Dom says, love you, babe, at 10 o'clock p.m. She says, babe, question mark. He says, what, babe? Let's hope this flight doesn't get canceled too. She said, what's going on? He said, we're getting on. She said, OMG. He says, I'm in line. She said, OMG. It's going to be fun, babe. How long is the flight going to be? He said, 4.5 hours. She said, wow, not too bad though. He said, yeah, for real. He said, on the plane. She said, send me pictures or FaceTime me. She says, I love you, baby. He says, we should be taking off any second. I'll let you know. He says, love you. She says, OMG. I love you, babe. He says, love you so much. He says, I'll text you when I'm there. Love you, babe. She says, have a great flight, babe. You're going to be safe and have a good time. I love you. He says, love you. And then at 3:41 a.m. in the morning, she says, hi. She says, you okay? She says, babe, let me know when you land. He says, I landed, babe, at 8:18 the next morning. He says, landed, babe, love you. He says, I'm here though, about to sleep. It's 2:06 here. She said, OMG, how was the flight? He said, not bad, just tired. We're losing connection. What are you doing, babe? Love you. She says, waiting to go to the dog sitting interview. What are you doing, babe? She says, love you more. He says, chilling on the couch, probably going to shower soon. She says, have you even been outside yet? He said, nope, inside the apartment the whole time. About to shower in a sec. She said, when are you going out to the town? He said, hopefully after 2 p.m. when they're done working. See, that's why I wasn't going to pay $500 for a ticket for you. It's kind of pointless besides if we just wanted to stay together. Kenzie said, some guy just tried to insurance fraud accident in my car. He literally tried to set up an effing accident with me. Like, what the actual F? Dom said, what did he do? Kenzie said, my mom is buying a trippy red tickets. We need them right now. He says, bet, how much are they? He said, what are the options too? She said, 20. Dom says, bet. Did you ever find my key? She says, oh shit, I have not been looking. I'm at the beach. He says, okay, let me know when you're back. He says, don't go on jet skis. She says, I promise, babe. She says, we're leaving. My mom got the tickets. He said, bet. Kenzie says, you just got to pay her back or I can buy one and you can buy one. Dom said, that's going to be dope. He said, no. She said, question mark? He said, I'm not paying for shit. She said, okay. He said, LOL, I'm kidding. It's a $20 ticket. Kenzie said, I said, text me, babe, and send me cool videos. He says, okay, I will. He says, yeah, we went to this weird grocery store food spot. He says, got some bologna and broccoli. He says, look up the Grove. That's the mall I'm going to. Let me know what stores you want me to look in. She said, oh my gosh, okay. He says, bet. She says at 7:29 p.m. like Zara, Nordstrom has a Skims dress. There's a ton of cool stores around the mall too, like Supreme. There's a Bape store and there's a ton of shoe stores. You know me, babe. You know my style. I'm literally so excited. I wish I could be there with you. Also, have you been playing Pokemon Go? He says, yeah, but it's more a surprise. And when me and you go, just me and you, we can bullet and have fun. She says, bet. Go on Pokemon Go. He says, bet. She says, barrel. She says, fight me. She says, Dom. He says, okay, you want to now, babe? She says, I'm going to Sweet Frog with my mom. He says, okay, let's battle later then. He said, when me and you go to LA, it'll be way funner. He said, we just got to figure out how to get to the weed. LOL. She said, okay, yay. We can just ask a random person on the street. They will buy it for us. Dom says that probably wouldn't go too well. If anything, we can order it off someone's card or something. He says, what are you doing, babe? At 5:25 a.m. the next day. He says, good morning, I love you. She says, I fell asleep. Good night, baby. I miss you. Oh, because she's going back to bed. He says, love you. He says, what are you doing, babe? He says, babe. He says, weird. She says, hi, baby, at 6:49 p.m. the next day. He says, I'm at the carnival with Grace. He said, oh, okay. He said, what carnival? She said, Fairview. He said, we should go to 𝐤𝐥𝐥𝐲. She said, where? Oh, bet. I'm so glad you're not like a crisis boyfriend. I love you, babe. Oh, she meant Grace's boyfriend. Dom says, LOL. He says, I'm the shit. Kenzie says, F. He says, you get your phone. Okay, wait. He says, I'm the shit. And it ends there. We just got through July. We're on August 1st. We did it. We made it to August. Yay. We just did it. We made it. We went through another month, guys. Oh my gosh. We're like closer to the end than not. You remember when we started this? I think I'm going to do a marathon on Sunday to get through this year. I know some of you guys would be down for that. Hey, hello. Interesting. He doesn't like Grace. I know. I was having so much fun. I know. I can't believe we just got it. And I didn't realize we had already been live for 3 hours. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? I know, Olivia. We're almost there. Woo! I know. I'm excited. Carnival. Yeah. I was on the fence and I listened for 45 seconds and realized she's guilty as sin. Yeah. Is anyone in the chat a Kenzie supporter? No. It's all you, Melly. Aw, thank you, Jamie. I don't want it to be over. Tomorrow night, I'm planning to do actually, I don't know if I'm gonna do a Kenzie live tomorrow because I need to get caught up on a few other cases. I'm combining a few cases in a live tomorrow, and then I'm talking about another case. But maybe we might get to a Kenzie live tomorrow. I really want to get through 2021, so we'll figure it out. But on Sunday, I plan to be live all day. Tomorrow, just in the evening, unless something changes. Anyways, I'll always post ahead of the time. So he has 1 year to live. Exactly. 1 year to live. We are flying through this ish. We are. Too much texting for 1 month. Dude, I've never texted like this. Thank you, Melly, for putting okay, thank you, Olivia, for being here. No, you said tomorrow night. I might be down to do, like, a late night live. Thank you, Jamie. I might be down to do a late night live, but I know a lot of you guys are ahead of me, so I know some of you might be mimis. That means sleeping in Spanish. Love you, Melly. Find under lives. Yes, please, please, please. Sunday, I'll be at work with my earbud on, listening the whole time. Okay, okay. Sounds good. Anyways, I'll always post ahead of time, but we're definitely mixing it up this weekend. Yes, we're doing David. I'm doing this case I haven't heard anything about really from bigger creators, and I'm shooketh. When you guys hear about this case, if you haven't already, I'm not gonna say what it is. And then I'm covering the 𝐼𝐨𝐬𝐧 case in combo with another case. So definitely check that out. Put on your notifications. Oh, wait, let me go back. Abuelita super chatted me. Oh, I did. I just seen it. Thank you, my abuelita. Why did he go to Cali? Probably like trying to be a rapper or rugs or something. Thank you, abuelita. I hadn't seen it. I was reading it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love and appreciate you. I'm curious why he went to Cali, but I'm assuming music, maybe? I don't know. His friend? Yes, Rebecca. You got it. Thank you. 2 coffees. Abuelita, stay keeping me on my coffee. I still have my coffee here. Thank you, abuelita. I will be buying stuff for coffee tomorrow to make 2 coffees. Thank you. Appreciate you. Dom as a rapper made my day. Have a nice okay, okay. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. I will definitely see you guys tomorrow evening. Don't know what we'll be going live about, but I'll definitely be back like later in the day, evening time. I have a couple things to get done in the morning that we'll talk about later. What page? What do you mean? Yeah, hope you feel better, Alicia. Parents should talk to their children and warn them about girls like Mackenzie. Good one. Yeah. Yeah. No, I haven't heard any of Dom's music, but I'm gonna try to look for some. I'm also still looking into the Miss Russo thing from the other night. Anyways, love and appreciate all my babelets. I'm sad. It's don't be Sarah. We'll continue it. There's more. There's more. Thank you guys for being here. Definitely make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. I will see you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna be back for an after dark tonight. Possible. But if I don't come back tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. And if I do come back tonight, then I'll see you later. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out for 3 hours. I'm sad too. What page did we leave off on? Oh, yeah, we're on August. We're 20,000 pages in. That's insane. The fact that I've even read that much, like, will I have a voice after this? No, probably not. But anyways, it's fine. I like reading through these. Anyways, okay. Love you, babelets. Catch you on the next one.